background and collecting information about consumers without notifying them. Companies should tell people what information is collected, how it is collected, and who it is shared with. The FTC said Silverpush can be running even if the customers do not know it. Silverpush says that no television shows in the United States use the software. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a lawsuit filed against Uber claiming that the ride-sharing company was to blame for the jailing of an Uber driver who is charged with murder is a hoax, according to the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office said officials became suspicious of the suit, filed in the name of murder suspect Jason Dalton, who is currently jailed in Kalamazoo, Michigan, after seeing the online filing. The online filing includes a facsimile of the envelope used to send the suit, which had a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania postmark. Pali Matias, an undersheriff, said in an interview, "Our mail does not go to Philadelphia." That raised a lot of suspicion right there. The envelope in court documents was not a jail envelope, the postage did not match what the county jail uses, and the handwritten court filing did not match handwriting the office had on file of Dalton. Deputies spoke with Dalton on Thursday in jail. Matias said that he did not send it and did not authorize it and did not know about it, adding that Dalton's attorneys also had no knowledge of the lawsuit, stating all of that translates into a hoax. U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, where the lawsuit was filed, was informed by the Sheriff's Office that it found the suit to be a hoax. If the lawsuit is proven to be fraudulent, it may take some time to remove the handwritten filing from the court's online records system. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Over 60% of employers are now checking online amateur pornography of potential job candidates. Is it fair to base hiring decisions on an applicant's online porn?
Now, this is not fair at all. For instance, if there's a red tube video of my girlfriend slapping me and choking me and riding me, that shouldn't be an indication I'm going to lack leadership in a work situation.
Yeah, but Duncan, it's going to be hard to convince an employer who's masturbating to that video otherwise.
Exactly. My potential employer might see all those videos of my husband tying me up and having his way with me, and then they're going to think that I'm not going to be assertive enough for the job.
I mean, if you don't want to jeopardize the content of your porn, you can always shoot from the eyes down.
Oh, but that's not the same if you cover the eyes. That's where the innocence is.
So am I supposed to leave an orgy just because someone shows up with a camera?
No one's saying you should leave an orgy.
Right. So
it's more complicated.
So now, if I go to a party, I wear something like this in case that situation comes up again.
I like that. I actually shoot my porn in sepia tone and make it look old-timey, so if people see it, they'll think it's my grandfather and not me.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course, you're invited to join us here. You can always bring up whatever happens to be on your mind in our studio in Keene, New Hampshire tonight. You've got Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
Yes, that's right. Keene, New Hampshire, the home for the outcasts.
Yes, Cheshire County is where the "Give me your tired, your poor, your Free State Project exiled. We shall come to Cheshire County, New Hampshire, and set up a base, and we're going to drink from brown bottles in the public thoroughfare.
And ruin the liberty movement.
We're going to have a dance party without a permit. We're going to fill parking meters so that people don't get parking tickets and get sued. So yeah, it's a real great show.
Well, you bring up a few different things there, TJ, the Spy, and it's Ian and James also in the studio here tonight. What you're bringing up is some controversial activism that has happened here in the Keene area.
You're ruining the movement, Ian.
Over the years. I've been accused of ruining the movement. Others, like Rich Paul and Derek J. Freeman, have been accused of such things by doing activism that's sort of outside the system, civil disobedience.
Well, is there any activism that's within the system?
Sure. Going to Concord and testifying at the State House, I think that would classify as inside the system.
Yeah, it's
going to a city council meeting and talking.
To me,
to
activism has this ring of you're doing something that irks people. You just
that irks people.
Oh yeah.
No, don't be confused.
Okay, then touche.
When you go to the government and you actually start to make an inroad, and you see things moving in your direction, that irks the people who want things to go in their direction. So,
Correct.
for instance, you look out on the seacoast in New Hampshire with the free Uber and now Arcade City, these sort of transportation wars that are going on out there.
Taxi drivers.
Well, the taxi drivers are acting pretty terroristic. They're threatening a grandmother, the Uber grandma. They've been very intimidating towards her. She's just been trying to help people get home from being drunk at the bar, and they're boxing her in when she goes to park to pick customers up. They're glaring at her. They're insulting her, yelling things at her in the streets. And this is all because Uber is a threat to the status quo. They've even smashed out her taillight.
It's more and more occupations. I was just thinking, you can't be Ian, you cannot be a taxi driver in Portsmouth, a legal taxi driver, because you can't have a misdemeanor conviction in the previous 7 years if you want to get your taxi license.
Right, but Uber, however, approved me as a driver.
Well, yeah, because they figured, well, you're just a person, okay, you drank, disorderly conduct is not exactly rape in the first degree. So,
no.
I often thought just, I was thinking 100 years ago, you didn't need a license to sell a gun. You didn't need a license to run a bar. You didn't need a license to run a taxi cab service. You didn't need a license to be an accountant. You didn't need a license to be an attorney. Well, you could actually take the bar exam. I take that back. You needed the bar license, but it was a little bit different how they did it back then. But yeah, James, how do you feel, James? You should.
Well, all that activism is okay because it's like an economic challenge. Like if you challenge people culturally, that's when people get really upset. It appears.
Well, I mean, it depends who you ask. You ask those taxi cab drivers; they are not okay with free Uber, and they're not okay. They went around, they tore down free Uber signs that they put up around the city.
I'm kind of curious. Like I kind of imagine, like, what if the free Uber thing had happened in Keene? Where
probably the same result. You'd probably have the local Keene cab companies on the attack against Uber.
No, I'm saying, like, would there be fellow Liberty people pissed off,
probably
saying that the Keeniacs are doing it wrong?
Oh, absolutely.
Or, like, let's say that I opened up. Let's say I rented a house and I started serving food out of it.
Oh, that's an illegal arrest. There's another one. Why do you need permission from the government to sell food
is that
to people?
like what activism is okay? Can we get a white list here? Like,
No, as long as you're doing it in Keene, you're doing it wrong, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, it's like, I don't know. Like, I guess my observation is that if you challenge people culturally, like maybe free the nipple or
that makes people the
marijuana or whatever, then it seems like a certain sect of people get really upset about that.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
I want to watch good old wholesome Christian entertainment with two men stabbing or beating each other up. But if you show one nipple,
or two men kissing,
no, that's just a no-no right there.
Right, and I agree with you. Challenging social norms has been the most offensive activism that has gone on here in Keene over the years.
Things like smoking pot in public, I think,
and
irk people a lot.
The toplessness, if you talk to people and you ask them, well, hey, so you don't like something that the activist did, what was it? What was it that rubbed you the wrong way? Everyone has a different answer because we've done so much activism here in Keene over the last decade plus. Everybody has something that sort of sticks out in their mind. The other day, someone explained that it was I think the topless thing, and then they mentioned the Outlaw Gardener event, which I hadn't heard brought up in a long time, where Anarcho Jesse came down to Central Square with a hoe and a rifle, leaned a rifle up against a tree, and then went and proceeded, and he got some soil down there, I think, too. Anyway,
and some seeds and some water.
And proceeded to stick a hoe into the ground, and then he was arrested by Keene police that had come out for the event. They knew he was going to be there.
Poor John Chapman, Johnny Appleseed, he would have been arrested in today's time, going out onto public lands, planting apple trees to then harvest and sell for a few pennies. I mean, he didn't have his forestry license.
So, like, to me, that was one of Anarcho Jesse's best activist moments. He had a lot of real low points, in my opinion, but this one was one of his best, but this was what someone else remembered as one of the worst things that had happened. I mean, you never know.
I was just thinking, like, back to my days before I was in New Hampshire, and, I'd never heard of Free Talk Live, and I'd watch Dave Ridley. And Ridley, I think, he does a good job, but like the things that were exciting to me were not people testifying at the State House. Like, frankly, I could give a crap about that because that happens everywhere, and it's boring.
No, it really doesn't happen everywhere like this. I just like to point that out.
Well,
as someone
it
who does
happens
go regularly to the state house.
It
and
happens in the
testifies.
sense that special interest groups constantly lobbying the state wherever you are, whether it's the teachers unions
That's
or
true.
the police.
But you don't have a Liberty crew in there lobbying.
Well, I
as
consider
in
the
most
Liberty crew
states.
almost like its own special interest group. Obviously,
it's a special interest toward liberty, but you don't have that in other states, and that's what makes it special here.
The only difference is we're showing up. We're not getting paid to show up and tell the legislators, hey, this law is not going to work, or this law is going to backfire and it's going to have unintended consequences. But every other person in that room testifying, they're either a government official, so they're getting paid $25, $30, $40 an hour to sit there and testify and tell the senators.
And that's their job. And they're in there every single week. So I agree with you that it's boring. No one wants to watch
I've
that.
done
That's
it.
not
I
interesting.
think maybe you could say it's a good thing or whatever. Like I've gone to the state house. I've gone to the city council meetings. But, I kind of wonder, like, you say your piece and, like, does it really do anything or not?
Yep, I can understand that. That is, I was definitely jaded like that towards the political system when I moved here, and it was actually Dennis Goddard, who's one of my haters, that convinced me otherwise, that you can have an impact inside the political system in New Hampshire. Certainly there are people who have their minds made up, and you're not going to impact them at all. No doubt. Those people exist. But there are also people who are riding the fence, and they're not sure, and they are looking for input. And I think one of the moments that really kind of defined this for actually Chris Cantwell, because he had been going down there regularly with us last year to do this testimony, was when one of the state reps actually approached him in the hallway like 2 weeks later after he testified on something, and pulled him aside and remembered him, said, hey Chris, I wanted to let you know the status of that bill that you testified on. We did this and this and this with it, and like took the time to actually, he didn't have to, right? He could have just walked to his meeting, but no, instead he saw someone he recognized, stopped him, and gave him an update on what was going on with the bill that he was interested in. And for Chris, that was like a shocking moment where this politician is actually taking a moment to talk to me, not because he's important because he's a politician, but because most politicians would consider themselves too important to stop down and speak to one of their constituents during a busy day at the state house. And so there's an interpersonal relationship that you can develop here with state legislators here in New Hampshire who are actually pretty liberty-friendly folks that you can't do anywhere else.
I think it's a good thing to do, like I said, and politics tells a lot of legitimacy in people's mind. I mean, the folks where I used to work, they knew me from the Robin Hooding, and then I ran for state rep, and like they saw that in the paper, and they were all asking me about it. So like in their mind, it was like a big deal.
I mean, I know they skewered them. I mean, on the Colbert Report, but
of course,
every time I show somebody, they're like, "Dude, you're James Cleveland. You were on the Colbert Report." And so we were like in Hawaii, and they were talking,
and
like
that was something else. It was that we were accused of destroying the movement. We were accused of destroying the entire liberty movement.
We've destroyed the movement so many times,
Not
Ian.
just the New Hampshire liberty movement. The Colbert Report supposedly destroyed the entire liberty movement. That's at least what was said about it. 855-450-FREE. Take control here.
February is National Heart Month, and chances are you have a cardiovascular issue like I do. I help maintain my healthy heart by drinking Super Beets. It's a superfood powder that I mix with water, but you can mix it with yogurt or put it in a smoothie, whatever you want. Not only does it help boost my circulation and support my healthy blood pressure naturally, but I feel the energy and stamina boost in about 20 minutes, which no other superfood formula guarantees. All the beets come from one non-GMO farm in California, so they can keep a close eye on the production of the dietary nitrates. I want you to try this product for National Heart Month. And if you don't feel the results, you don't pay, guaranteed. Get a 30-day supply free with your first order. You also get nitric oxide indicator strips so that you can see it's working. Plus, get the free book, Beat the Odds. And all of this comes with free shipping. Call 800-951-8940 or visit FTLbeats.com. I believe in Super Beats. 800-951-8940, FTLbeats.com.
Hey guys, Pat Matthews here to tell you about the newest and best way to sell products online. It's buysellmakeoffer.com, an enormously revolutionary way to sell your stuff online. It's time to clean out the garage, your old golf clubs, sports equipment, tools, and yes, even your car. Forget about the way the other guys have taken more than their share from you when the sales were finalized. Look, it's happened to me over and over and over. Then I found buysellmakeoffer.com. They will never charge you item fees. Just go there right now to sign up and load all your stuff to our server to sell. This is not an auction site. Sell your car, sell your home. Realtor, sign up now. Just use our resources along with Skype and videos, then add your creativity to sell your items quickly and with no fees. Go right now to buysellmakeoffer.com and sign up. The excitement is building. I've signed up to sell my stuff with buysellmakeoffer.com. You should too. buysellmakeoffer.com.
Amid the catastrophic economic crisis spurred by Tuesday's release of This Christmas, the new holiday-themed album by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, economic experts told reporters today the Christmas CD has quickly plunged the nation into a double-dip recession.
When investors learned that one-time screen couple John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John had reunited after 35 years for an album of timeless Christmas classics, investors had no choice but to pull money from markets immediately. We were already on shaky ground with the collapse of the U.S. subprime mortgage market and the reversal financial crisis in Europe, but consumer confidence plummeted after Americans saw the new album with a picture of Travolta and Olivia Newton-John holding cups of hot cocoa. We believe that when other countries find out the album features a Christmas song that pays tribute to summer nights, we could be looking at a global contagion. This is the blackest day on Wall Street in 2 decades.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. We invite you to join us here, toll-free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you can join us online. So just drop on by freetalklive.com. Enjoy the features there. We give them away to you. And with you in studio, it's Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
ProXPN can give you your privacy back on the internet. They encrypt your data right from your computer or mobile device. And ProXPN has OpenVPN, which is the gold standard of network encryption. They've got apps for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and there's even Linux support as well. So whatever device you're using, there's likely going to be a ProXPN that will work for you. Plus, they keep no logs of your activities whatsoever. And if you're a Windows user, ask ProXPN about changing your DNS settings for even greater anonymity. They take credit card and Bitcoin. If you use code FTL50, you can get 50% off their regular monthly price for the lifetime of an annual account. It can be cheaper per month than a good cup of coffee. So go to ProXPN.com, use code FTL50, and take back the privacy that is your right. That's ProXPN.com with code FTL50 as we go to your phone calls and thoughts. We'll start up with Charlie listening in Arizona to K-Talks. Hello, Charlie. You're on the air on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys.
Hey there.
I have a quick comment on licenses, and I'd also like to ask TJ a quick question.
Sure.
Firstly, I'd like to say that nitric oxide boosters really, really work, and I have proof. They work. But to my comment, within the past year or so, they have now required paralegals to get a license in Arizona, which severely gets back on my my activism, and you know what I do. So
I don't know what you do, but I'm guessing it's some sort of paralegal work.
Well, of course, I will. Like the lady I helped at the federal court in Kingman. You remember that?
No,
but,
I have no idea. I'm sorry, I barely remember what happened.
That's true. It's nothing personal. He has a very short-term memory.
It was the question about the refuges.
Gotcha. So what was what was it that you had for TJ?
Yeah, my question for TJ is what is his opinion on the works of James Bamford, particularly his book The Shadow Factory.
Are you familiar with that?
Yes, indeed I am. I'm familiar with all of James Bamford's works. So Bamford is an author, and he created somewhat of a scandal back in the 80s. He wrote something called The Puzzle Palace, was his first book, about the National Security Agency. And the NSA, it has a reputation. Basically, they never talked about what they did. I mean, the NSA was built in 1952 at the corner of 295, the Baltimore-Washington Parkway, and Highway 32, Maryland Route 32. So it's always been there. Everyone's been able to see it. It's just that nobody ever really knew what they did. And James Bamford started investigating them, and he wrote The Puzzle Palace and The Shadow Factory, which was his second novel, or not novel, but like expose about the insides of the agency. He actually, it's somewhat funny because the NSA was initially very hostile to James Bamford trying to publish his book, The Puzzle Palace.
I bet they were.
Because, just even something like how many people work at the NSA. Now, I guarantee you the Russians know exactly how many people work at the NSA, because all they do is they just look at the satellite photo, count the number of parking spots at high noon, and say, there's... Or another guy... Tower Federal Credit Union is the NSA's credit union, so pretty much everybody who banks at Tower Federal Credit Union is an NSA employee. In fact, they actually have a credit union bank branch there inside the NSA. And so somebody got the FDIC records and found out they had like 30,000 members, so they said, well, the NSA must have about 30,000 employees.
Interesting.
And that is indeed correct. About 40,000 souls work at the NSA. And the interesting thing I noticed is that the NSA has warmed up to him over the years. He actually came and spoke at like a cryptography day or some the Friedman. They had some type of ordeal. William Friedman was a famous cryptographer, and they had some shindig there. I didn't have a chance to go, but I do have a signed copy of his book, and I really like him as an author. I mean,
so that was a good question. Thank you, Charlie, for your call here tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So you would recommend those books for someone who wants to know?
If somebody wants to understand the National Security Agency, The Puzzle Palace and The Shadow Factory are excellent books.
Now, are they older books? When
the Puzzle Palace was, if I remember, was the 80s, and then The Shadow Factory is fairly recent.
Interesting. Cool. Thanks for the tip on that. I'm sure there are a lot of people who'd like to learn more about the NSA. In fact, we've got news. TJ, you're going to share with us in a little bit, not at the moment, about the Edward Snowden, about Lavabit.
Yes,
and Edward Snowden.
Secret exposed.
There's a tie between the two, and we'll get into that here in moments. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Plus, the Venezuelan government is coming out against Bitcoin, saying it is the currency of cyber criminals. And, well, I guess it takes one to know one in that case. But first, we're going to continue here because, I think the elephant is still in the room, and we need to make sure that we deal with that appropriately enough. People were wondering why I wasn't on the show last night after the Free State Project announced yesterday.
You were having sex with 7-year-old girls, as you have advocated, right?
Nope, I've never advocated anything like that.
That's what I heard. I heard on Facebook that you supported the molestation of young girls.
Nope, I don't support the molestation of anyone.
No? Oh, gosh darn it.
No
That
one at all.
Facebook lied to me.
Well, there are liars out there who will say things about me and what I believe that are absolutely not true because they know that most people won't check. They know that most people won't bother come talking to me personally. They won't bother calling the show to ask. They won't bother to read any of the things I've written, for instance, over at freekeen.com about those things. And specifically, you're referring to Age of Consent, which was the reason why, ostensibly, I was ejected from Free State Project events, the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and the Liberty Forum. The Free State Project put out a notice, and this was after Free Talk Live had put out our own notice letting the Free State Project know that we're not going to hold them to any obligations in our agreement. So we had this agreement, this broadcast agreement between Free Talk Live, LRN, and the Free State Project that meant that we would provide broadcast services, Free Talk Live, and allow our equipment to be used by other LRN.FM show hosts and other shows who aren't on LRN. at these different events that the Free State Project puts on a yearly basis. And we've been doing so for many years, most of the time without a broadcast agreement, just as sort of a handshake agreement. But eventually it was clear that we would have to write everything down that we needed to do. So we let them know that we weren't going to hold them to any of the obligations in that agreement, and they decided to go ahead and cancel that agreement. And then at the same time, they decided to go further and ban me from their events, the Porcupine Freedom Festival and the Liberty Forum. And for those that don't know, the Free State Project is the movement of 20,000 liberty-minded people that are coming to New Hampshire and are going to get active. There are close to 2,000 who are here already for the Free State Project, and I guess they decided they didn't want me around anymore, that I was too much of a liability. Just a month after giving me a lifetime award, not a lifetime achievement award, but a major achievement award for being for spreading the message. I was Mark and I, the two main hosts of this show, were given these fancy, like, crystalline kind of tower awards, and it was very, very nice. And then subsequently I was booted out of their events. Well, we can talk more about it.
We'll talk more.
Yep. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. I don't have any hard feelings on my side, but there are a lot of people who do not like me because I believe that individuals should be able to make choices for themselves, like most libertarians should. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can talk about what you want on Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com. So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. Following yesterday's big rise in gold and silver, on Friday gold is down $7 at $1,253 per ounce. Silver is down 9 cents at $15.91 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $413 US. I like to take advantage of these little Friday pullbacks as traders try to finish the week taking a profit. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
My name is Angel Rach. I'm a mother of 2 teenage children, and I fought all the way to the Supreme Court for the right to use the medicine that saved my life. I've been permanently disabled for 10 years, with an inoperable brain tumor, wasting syndrome, and several other serious conditions. For 4 years, I was in a wheelchair, in so much pain, I couldn't even hug my kids. The hardest part was looking in their eyes and seeing how much they were suffering because of my medical condition. The medicine that gave me my life back and gave my kids their mom back was cannabis, also known as medical marijuana. With medical marijuana, I can walk, maintain my weight, and I can be a mom. Without it, my doctors believe that I would die. To learn more about medical marijuana, contact Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or on the web at mpp.org.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Of course, you can join us here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And also, we've got Skype. Skype username is lrn.fm. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies, that's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided detailed real news that lies between the lines of propaganda and the relationship we have with coercive governments. FreedomsPhoenix.com offers up-to-the-minute updates on the economy, technology, communications, and the rise of the police state. So go to FreedomsPhoenix.com, get signed up for their free daily dispatch. That's FreedomsPhoenix.com. It's Ian, James, and TJ in the studio here tonight. We'll go to your calls about what you want, and then on the way, the Lavabit story is back in the news with details about Edward Snowden. And TJ, you've got that. We'll get into it. But first, Chris Cantwell on the line from his Radical Agenda studios in Keene. Hey, Chris.
It's good to be with you guys. And I want to
do me a favor. I'm sorry. It sounds like you're swallowing your mic a little bit. And I noticed this last night.
Is this better now?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what's happening there, but hopefully this improves.
Thank you.
So I want to apologize for last night's indiscretion. I accidentally dropped an F-bomb, and you guys had to cut me off, but I wanted to talk to you anyway.
Okay, here I am.
As you're surely aware, I have some opinions on your being kicked out of the Free State Project.
Considering that you were also kicked out of the very same Free State Project.
Yes, us being members of this very exclusive club, I'm very excited to talk to you now that you have joined Pariah Club.
The Pariah Club.
The Pariah Club. So Ian, Chris, what advice can you give Ian for how to weather this? Because you've been kicked out of so many organizations, I've kind of lost count whenever you say something on your blog. So what advice can you give Ian to brave this thing so he doesn't, end up disgraced and ruined and everything else? Like, what's the media spin we should put on this?
Well, there's really no media spin necessary. What happens is that you find out very rapidly that the Free State Project is an impotent, incompetent organization full of idiots who are useless because they are incapable of doing anything to help anybody. And what you realize is that they have no impact on your life whatsoever. And so
I have to agree that there's no weathering. I've had people ask me today, "Are you okay?" And it's like, yeah, it's just another day for me. I mean, there's a little more Facebook drama involved than in this particular day than I would like. But otherwise, I'm busy doing my normal things. And this was a long time coming. I'm honestly surprised it took them this long. As some people have pointed out, everybody knew I was with Renee Kate from Anarchy After Dark. And she was 16 at the time when we started our relationship, and everybody knew about that. In fact, that was one of the things that was a big blow-up a couple of years ago. But they didn't get rid of me because I think I was too useful to the organization as far as promoting the Free State Project and getting them to their 20,000. And then as soon as they reached the 20,000, here we are, 4 or 5 weeks later, and I've gotten the cut.
Well, of course, and let's just not pretend that the Free State Project is some savior of children. As I've complained before, I mean, you were at the courthouse with these tranny lunatics who are trying to shake their tits in front of children over at the beach there in Guilford, and they just think that Amanda Bolden is like some fantastic advocate of liberty for saying that that's a good idea. So the terms and conditions for PorcFest, they call PorcFest a family-friendly event, and then they say that. If you bring minors there, that they may be subjected to, quote, expressive activity that includes full nudity in broad daylight in the middle of a weekday afternoon, okay? So
somehow I have a feeling that might not be as common at this year's Pork Fest, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm still saying to people, if they want to go to Pork Fest, they should go, or if they're on the fence, they should still go. I still think it's a good event where you can meet a lot of great people, but I know a lot of people are deciding to go ahead and boycott the event this year.
If you're thinking about going to Pork Fest, go to Pork Fest this year, because it gets worse every year. It's stupid. They are kicking out everybody who's even the slightest amount of fun is getting kicked out, or otherwise getting bored with their stupid event and their ridiculous fees and their dumb regulations. They've gotten too big for their own good. Okay?
Well, I think that's fine. It's time for a splinter. Rich Paul has been saying that that he and some others should start a competing event called Bandcamp. BANNED.
Well, I think that might be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it could.
I'm trying to bring a bunch of right wing guys in here who's going to scare the life out of half of these free staters, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I don't know that it would chive well with anything that Rich was trying to organize, but we're certainly having a lot of fun. And the Free State Project is absolutely no consequence to anybody. They're a bunch of dishonest losers, and they've been more than happy to promote all types of things with you during all the time that they've known everything about you.
Right.
And now today,
my opinions on age of consent have not changed. I don't. Just to make clear, by the way, Chris, you allude in your article over at ChristopherCantwell.com about me getting kicked out of the Free State Project, that I've suggested that 6-year-olds can consent. I don't believe that people should have sex with children. I don't support that. I don't support pedophilia. I just want to make sure that that's clear for the people that have been spreading.
And I want to go on record as being anti-child rape as well, just in case anyone had any doubt.
But I don't believe that teenagers are children. I think that the definition of child excludes a teenager, and I think young people can make decisions for themselves, even if they are decisions that we might not agree with.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and posit real quick that if your vision of a free society is one where a junior high school girl walks out and then gets a train run on her by Ian Freeman and Brad Spangler, that a lot of people are going to be happy to pay taxes to avoid that. So you might want to think about your marketing. But other than that, look, age of consent is a conversation worth having, and there's no point in having it if you don't have it with people you disagree with it on. So fantastic.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And these people in the Free State Project who are wielding enough influence to get me banned from these events, and I subsequently resigned. I figured it was coming next that they would pull me, but I didn't want to be a part of a group that didn't want to have me, so I went ahead and issued my resignation from the organization shortly after I found out that I had been banned from its events. And ultimately, you've got a group of people who are very uncomfortable with what the ideas of liberty mean, obviously, because you take the ideas of liberty to their logical conclusions. It means leaving people alone, leaving people to do things that you might not necessarily agree with, or you might even feel strongly against that. And we went into a great amount of detail recently. There was a group of 5 liberty activists here from the Keene area that got together over at the Sanctuary for Love and Peace, and there was about an hour-plus long video that was made where we got into a lot of these issues of age and consent pretty deep. So if you wanted to get more about my opinions on that, you could go to freekeene.com and then read the article that I posted there late yesterday night that I don't remember the title of it. It was something about you should still go to Porkfest. And then there's at the very bottom that full video of that conversation is included there. So, Chris, what else did you want to share tonight? Anything else?
That's more or less it. I mean, it's. I think the age of consent thing is a worthwhile discussion, and the thing that I've been trying to hammer home on my program is that what we're talking about in a free society is a private property society where things are going to be figured out by property owners, and it does not necessarily mean that you leave everybody alone to do whatever they want. It means that you're dealing with the consequences of your actions within a market environment and dealing with private property owners and that sort of thing. And I would encourage everybody to go read Hans Hermann Hoppe's Democracy, the God That Failed, and do some look. People are looking at libertarianism like they're reading Kathy Reisenwitz's blog or something like that. That's not the way the world works. So go read some Rothbard, go read some Hoppe, and carry on the conversation from there. And I thank you for having me on, gentlemen.
Thanks, Chris. See you around. Appreciate it. Christopher Cantwell from The Radical Agenda at ChristopherCantwell.com. He posted a pretty detailed article about me getting kicked out of the Free State Project. I'm not going to call names, like Chris will. I don't harbor any ill will towards anyone in the Free State Project. They are doing what they feel they need to do to preserve their organization.
They're behaving like a government.
So good for them. That's what they want to do. That's their group.
That's ultimately what it is, right? It's a big popularity contest. And
yes,
to me, it's like it shows, like the two types of people in the world. To break it down real simply, like there's some people who care like what they truly believe in, and then there's some people who care what other people think of them more. And so these are the kind of people that would want to run for class president and be real popular, and maybe they weren't, so they picked the libertarians.
They don't really have genuine opinions. They have opinions that they think will get them elected.
It's like the big fish in a small pond kind of deal.
Our toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE. You can join us. Our also Skype username is LRN.FM, and this is Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Something shocking just happened in a Coast Guard unit in San Diego. The old guys in the unit have turned the tables and are now destroying the young bucks in head-to-head fitness tests. How is this even possible? Turns out the old guys in this unit have been part of a special test group for a doctor-formulated fountain of youth drink called Patriot Power Greens. Patriot Power Greens has been so effective for many of the older soldiers that it's made their achy joints, stiff muscles, and lack of energy a thing of the past. Previously, this drink was only available to elite military units. But for a limited time, the creator of Patriot Power Greens has set aside a small number of free sample packs specifically for our conservative friends. But you must act fast. Due to the high demand from members of the Coast Guard, our supply is extremely limited right now. To claim your free samples of Patriot Power Greens, go to greens75.com. That's greens75.com. greens75.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us right here, toll free. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username LRN.FM. Tonight with you, it's Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
And don't forget, Talk Live broadcasts to you live 7 nights a week. But of course, it's not free to put on this show. So if you would like to support what we do, then please become a Free Talk Live amplifier. It makes a huge difference for us in continuing to spread a principled message of liberty despite being attacked from inside of the liberty movement and outside of the liberty movement. If you support us sticking to principle, then please become an amplifier at amp.freetalklive.com. You'll also be amping the Liberty Radio Network as well at LRN.FM, which features dozens of liberty-oriented shows from around the globe. So your money goes to really getting the word out about freedom, and it's only $5 a month. So please join at amp.freetalklive.com. AMP, A-M-P, as in advertise, market, and promote. That's amp.freetalklive.com. You can use any major credit card through PayPal, use Visa or MasterCard right there on the site. And now you can use Bitcoin as well. So go to amp.freetalklive.com as we go to Stephen calling from somewhere, I believe, in South America. Stephen, where are you and Derek J right now?
I am in the Andes Mountains of Argentina, Cafayate,
wow.
Argentina.
That sounds nice. So what's
well,
up?
in banning Ian Freeman from the Porcupine Freedom Festival, the Free State Project has jumped the shark. The world's best hope for liberty has been usurped by faceless authoritarian bureaucrats. It's time for a movement, not a club, that's based on proper governance that doesn't allow people to take control of the movement and use it for their own purposes. For that reason, we are proposing the State Free Project.
Oh,
that's cute.
That is cute.
Tell me more about that.
What happened with the Free State Project was, as far as I was concerned, it's a movement of people agreeing to promote liberty in our lifetimes. But it turned out that it's actually a corporation that's run by its board, and that means that they have
an unelected board,
power.
by the way. At one point, just a little bit of history, the Free State Project used to have elected board members, meaning that there was some minor level of accountability for what they did. But at this point, they've at least for several years, they got rid of that a long time ago, and they've ever since just been internally each board. The board members appoint new board members, so there's no more any kind of accountability to the membership. In fact, I don't even know if they publish a list of who's on the board. I honestly don't even. Maybe they do somewhere, but.
Well, now they're a nonprofit, right? So you'd be able to, in theory, look up that information.
So that's probably public now. I gotcha. So yeah, I agree with you. I think boards are a pretty inefficient way to run things, having been on a number of them in my time. And so I take it the State Free Project will not have a board.
Well, they're self-selected, like you said. They chose to be in power, and then they asserted their authority without any of our agreeing to it. The State Free Project, however, is designed to have governance built in to its formation that prohibits any official positions of title or authority whatsoever.
Okay.
It also, if you host an event under the banner of the State Free Project, anyone can host an event under the banner as long as they agree to the principle of self-ownership and that all media from the event be covered by the BIPCOT no-gov license.
Okay. And that means the BIPCOT license means that anybody can copy it except for government agents?
That's right. Most importantly, though, anyone can copy the media, and that was a big problem with them arbitrarily and suddenly deciding that they asserted intellectual property over media at events that most people or many people thought were more or less a public community event.
Yeah, you're referring right now to at least the most recent event of the Liberty Forum, where there was a huge brouhaha afterwards when Garrett Ian, one of the bloggers from freeconquer.org and freekeen.com, posted a secretive audio recording of the Edward Snowden interview that happened. And people got very, very upset about that and were screaming about property rights, even though at the very beginning of his the Snowden event, there was a notice given that They were asking people to turn off their cameras. They did not ask people to turn off their audio recording devices. And so technically, Garrett didn't even violate the terms of that particular.
I'm having flashbacks. Right now, I feel like I'm back at the National Security Agency with the backstabbing and the groups and the cliques, and everybody's like, if you associate with him, I'm not going to be your friend, and your promotion is not going to get approved. So you better distance yourself from him. And it was really funny at the NSA. We all would be like, you need to go to that person's church because, they, if you're going to be promoted, you got to get FaceTime in with the boss or something. And I just always thought, goodness gracious, we are having right now the very same thing. Thank goodness that we humans do not get along with each other, because right now the government, they're so powerful. There's one branch of the government called the Department of Agriculture. They're dedicated to growing tobacco. And there's another government agency called the Center for Disease Control. They're dedicated to not smoke. Could you imagine what they could do if they could get together and actually coordinate their effort? Oh, my goodness, the power they have. It's because they hate each other. I mean, James would go into the bathroom whenever we would go to the Keene deliberative sessions for this, like the city council. James would just go into the bathroom and sit on the toilet and listen to all the other bureaucrats say, yeah, that's so-and-so, and that council.
Talking crap about each other?
Yes, talking about that Parks Department guy is a real asshole, and he's not getting my $5 million whatever budget. And it's just like, really? This is so incredibly amazing to watch, the pettiness and the bickering over who's going to get $500,000 in funding. And so I thought, goodness gracious, we're turning into a government organization. I look at all these.
You mean the Free State Project?
Yes, the Free State Project.
Because we're not involved in the organization, right? With the Free State Project, there's a board of directors, and there's an executive, or there's a president or whatever,
yeah.
and that's it. That's all
I
there
read
is.
in the newspaper, Ian, that you started the Free State Project because of a couch on your front lawn.
There was a news article.
A news article that got that
wrong.
wrong.
I want to hear more about the State Free Project, though, since we've got Stephen on the line here. So, Stephen, the website is statefreeproject.com. Is that right?
That's right, statefreeproject.com. You can sign up to get updates. We're also having our first ever flagship event, the Fiend Fest Somalia 2016. Fiend Fest Somalia.
Are we really going to Somalia?
No, it's actually at Rogers Campground. We are in the process of carving out an area for people who want to be a little bit separate from the mainstream Free State people.
Now, my understanding is that that's going to be happening during the Porcupine Freedom Festival, so one will need to have a PorcFest ticket in order to attend the Fiend Fest or the State Free Project Festival.
That
is
is
right?
correct, but it's the beginning of trying to separate out people who don't necessarily need to be together all the time, and carving out a place that has better governance and
Ian.
setting a foundation for the future.
Well, this is interesting because years ago, a little more history here for you. The Free State Project, the PorcFest, the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which is the summer event that we're talking about here, this camping festival that happens every year. There has been a group of, let's call them squares or prudes, perhaps, that they don't really like the idea of a girl walking topless. They certainly wouldn't like the idea of a man in a loincloth, which we had a couple of years ago. They don't like marijuana being smoked. They are very, very square, for lack of a better term. And they actually created a little group of themselves, and they've had like this sort of family zone, or whatever you want to call it, the square zone, that has existed at the Porcupine Freedom Festival for quite a while. And so they've already done something like this where they've sort of carved out their little area for themselves. And one year they even all wore T-shirts that were the exact same shirt. They had the letters NBC on them, and it stood for normal by comparison. And the idea was that these are the normal libertarians compared to those crazy radicals out in Keene like Ian or Derek J. or Rich Paul. And then the next year they made a new NBC shirt, except that time they said that it stood for Not Bat-S Crazy, was what it stood for that year. The year after that they didn't make a shirt, but rest assured that particular group still exists, and it's likely those people who've gotten into positions of power of the Free State Project. Anyway, a little bit of history for you there.
And this event that we are trying to carve out is intended to be a place that is culturally distinct from the people who want to make it a more family-friendly or prudish area, if you want to say that, and more welcoming to be free and accepted however you are. I know a lot of people don't want to accept anyone however they are. But we want to create a space at PorkFest, and we think it's completely appropriate and necessary for that.
Right on. I think that sounds like a lot of fun. I wish I could be there to see it. Hopefully people will take pictures and video and stuff when it happens.
So, by the way,
go
Steve,
to fiendfestsomalia.com.
Okay, so it has its own website, fiendfestsomalia.com, which is related to the State Free Project at statefreeproject.com. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Very exciting, and I hope you'll keep us in the loop, Stephen, will you, as this develops?
Absolutely. Keep you in the loop.
Thanks for
and
the call.
make sure you come on back to New Hampshire. We need you guys.
They're coming back. I understand you guys are going to be visiting Keene on the 30th of this month, and then you're going to be moving out to
in
Portsmouth.
about 10 days.
Yeah, you'll be moving out to
Yeah, we'll
Portsmouth.
be there soon.
Very exciting.
I'm making the move.
All right.
Thanks for having me
Congratulations.
on.
We'll see you soon. Thanks, Stephen, for the call from down in the mountains of where was it?
Andes.
The Andes. That's right.
In Argentina.
That's the A word I was looking for. 855-450-FREE. You can join us here on Free Talk Live. Hour 2's coming up.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom in the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com. Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com. The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, March 18th, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.02 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,252 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $420. Antiwar.com reports Saudi warplanes launched a series of airstrikes against a crowded marketplace in Hajj province on Tuesday, and UN officials finally established a final death toll for the incident, saying 119 civilians were killed. Saudi officials, who on Tuesday denied having attacked the market at all, on Thursday confirmed the incident, saying they attacked a quant market where a militia gathering was happening, backing it up with claims that as many as 33 of the slain were Shiites and thus presumptive allies of the Houthi rebellion. The incident is the latest in a number of huge incidents of Saudi airstrikes killing large numbers of civilians as the Saudi war against Yemen approaches its one-year anniversary. Estimates have put the death toll in the war at over 6,200, with the majority being civilians and those overwhelmingly killed in Saudi strikes. The UN issued a report earlier this year harshly critical of the Saudis for their systematic targeting of civilians across Yemen, saying it could amount to a crime against humanity. They also faulted the Saudi naval blockade of Yemen as an attempt to deliberately starve the population. For For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Federal Trade Commission issued warning letters to app developers using Silverpush, software that monitors a device's microphone to better understand consumer buying habits. The FTC said letters were issued to 12 Google Play app developers that appear to include Silverpush, warning they could be in violation of federal privacy disclosure requirements. Silverpush is embedded software in some apps that monitor consumers' television use through the use of audio beacons emitted by televisions. The sound is inaudible but can be detected by the software. Jessica Rich, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, said these apps are capable of listening in the background and collecting information about consumers without notifying them. Companies should tell people what information is collected, how it is collected, and who it is shared with. The FTC said Silverpush can be running even if the customers do not know it. Silverpush says that no television shows in the United States use the software. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a lawsuit filed against Uber claiming that the ride-sharing company was to blame for the jailing of an Uber driver who is charged with murder is a hoax, according to the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office said officials became suspicious of the suit, filed in the name of murder suspect Jason Dalton, who is currently jailed in Kalamazoo, Michigan, after seeing the online filing. The online filing includes a facsimile of the envelope used to send the suit, which had a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania postmark. Pali Matias, an undersheriff, said in an interview, "Our mail does not go to Philadelphia." That raised a lot of suspicion right there. The envelope in court documents was not a jail envelope, the postage did not match what the county jail uses, and the handwritten court filing did not match handwriting the office had on file of Dalton. Deputies spoke with Dalton on Thursday in jail. Matias said that he did not send it and did not authorize it and did not know about it, adding that Dalton's attorneys also had no knowledge of the lawsuit, stating all of that translates into a hoax. U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, where the lawsuit was filed, was informed by the Sheriff's Office that it found the suit to be a hoax. If the lawsuit is proven to be fraudulent, it may take some time to remove the handwritten filing from the court's online records system. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
McDonald's is now offering bereavement prices, and a sexual predator gets tenure. This is the Onion Week in Review. This Wednesday, Samsung announced the release of its brand new really big television. Representatives for the South Korean electronics manufacturer told reporters at a press conference that the goddamn gargantuan of an electronics product boasted a variety of new features, including being super heavy and having a screen that was probably 100 inches wide for all they knew.
We here at Samsung think this new product will appeal to today's consumers who are looking for a television that's really huge. I mean, this thing is built like a Mack truck. You just really have to see it to believe it.
In other news, an important decision is sent up to the company's highest idiot. And an area mother doesn't see why Thai people need to make food so spicy. Today's Onion Review was sponsored by Bamboo Garden, voted the best family-owned Chinese restaurant in Idaho for 5 years running.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us right here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. The Skype username tonight is LRN.FM. With you, you've got Ian.
James.
And TJ the Spy.
Still to come here tonight, we've got the Lavabit update.
Lavabit, yes.
We're going to get into that. It's about Edward Snowden, actually, has been revealed. We'll tell you more about it. TJ has the story. Plus, Venezuela is on the attack against Bitcoin. But our toll-free number here
well,
is...
that doesn't surprise me. They're a socialist country. I mean, you got Hugo Chavez, and, well, who's his replacement? I know he's dead.
Yeah.
But who replaced him? And his name's on the top
Nicolas Maduro.
Yes, Maduro.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 855-450-FREE is our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. Yesterday, the Free State Project, for those of you just tuning in, made an announcement on their website about me and Free Talk Live specifically, banning me from their events, the Porcupine Freedom Festival and the Liberty Forum, after a number of years of being their top promoter and top recruiter. They have decided to kick me to the curb because I hold opinions that some people feel very, very strongly against.
Well, what example? Like the only ones that I know that got the feathers ruffled was you said, I don't think people should be convicted in the court of public opinion. They should be convicted at trial after both sides have had a chance to produce evidence. That's one opinion, and that got a lot of people angry. They're like, no, you must condemn Kyle Tasker for the things he allegedly said.
He's a state representative who's been accused of soliciting a 14-year-old female on the internet for sex, and then allegedly going to try to meet her, but it was actually an undercover cop at that point for some sort of meetup.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't, I've been accused of defending Kyle Tasker, but that's not exactly what I've been doing. I haven't. If Kyle Tasker did the things that they're saying that he did, then I think that he's tacky and inappropriate. Yeah. But I don't think that what he allegedly did, even if it's what they say he did, I don't think that it's a crime to solicit somebody, especially if the young girl in this case decided to unfriend him, which she did, according to the police affidavit. And I don't believe the police affidavit just because they write something down on a piece of paper and send it to me. So presuming what they wrote was accurate, Kyle Tasker approached this girl, asked her if she wanted to get involved in a threesome with him and another woman, and she turned him down. She unfriended him on Facebook and deleted the conversation. So that was the end of Kyle Tasker's interactions with this teenage girl. It wasn't like he kept pushing it. And in fact, Renee, who's the host of Anarchy After Dark, which will appear on LRN.FM later tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern, she actually read a couple of text messages between her and Kyle Tasker on the air last week. And it was interesting because Kyle had approached her. She's a young lady. She's 18 years old, my ex-girlfriend, and with whom I'm very close and who I love very much. She read these messages. Kyle Tasker asked her, hey, do you have a boyfriend? Obviously expressing an interest in seeing her in some sort of relationship manner. And she expressed to him that, yes, she did at that time have a boyfriend. And he said, okay, that's why I asked, and ended the conversation. That was it. He did not keep coming back and harassing her or haranguing her over it or anything like that. So by all evidence, sorry to interrupt, but by all evidence, it seems Kyle Tasker was actually pretty respectful of Renee. So I have no reason to believe he would have been any different towards someone else.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think he's kind of guilty of being a little creepy. I mean, like when I hear like 14, I'm thinking, well, 30 years old and a 14-year-old, I don't think it's criminal. I just think it's a little weird. I mean, it would be different if he would have held a knife to her throat or forced her against her will, or if he kept he said, if you don't have sex with me, I will tell your parent, or I'll fail you in a class. I mean, he didn't use any method of coercion. He did, of course, attempt to offer her drugs, but that's a separate issue.
Let me play devil's advocate here. I mean, there are other relationships where other people might be like, well, two men together, I feel uncomfortable by that.
Yeah.
So other people may feel uncomfortable about
And people have said that. They've said, look, I don't have a problem with you being gay. What I have a problem with you is holding your hand with another man in public. And I say, well, if I may be a little blunt, you hold your wife's hand in public, right? So if you don't hold your wife's hand in public or your girlfriend's hand, I will play the same way. If you don't kiss your wife or girlfriend in public, I won't kiss my husband or boyfriend in public. We'll play it straight down equally. But a lot of people don't quite grasp that. And I said, well, the problem we have with the law is it's either very, very illegal or it's totally legal. There's no gray zone. It's not like Kyle Tasker could say, you solicited a 14-year-old girl, so you're going to get a week in jail. But if it was a 7-year-old girl, you get 5 years in jail. It's all the same crime.
Yeah, I don't believe that it should be a crime to solicit someone. I mean, I understand that it's an inappropriate thing to do, and I don't support what he allegedly did in that particular case.
Yeah, neither
do I. But I
don't
believe that it should be a crime for you to say words to someone that isn't an actual threat of I'm going to hurt you or something.
Yeah.
And some people are out there saying, well, he manipulated her. Well, how is it that he manipulated her? She said no and deleted him from Facebook.
Yes.
So it sounded to me like whatever it was he was trying to do was not
By the way,
successful.
for the record, the police were the ones who reinitiated the
That's correct.
contact.
The police took over her account and then sent him a message. And then we don't know what the police sent to him, because the police affidavit only uses excerpts that were allegedly from Kyle Tasker, and of course they make him look like this lecherous scumbag, and maybe he is. I don't know, because I don't know what the police had said to him to elicit those text messages.
I mean, and complicating this issue, if it had just been a 30-year-old propositioning a 14-year-old girl who said, no, I'm not interested, and he said, okay, fair enough, well, have a nice one. Complicating that was the fact that he was also got with a lot of Suboxone, allegedly Suboxone.
Yeah, they went to his house after arresting him for supposedly going to meet with the girl, and then they went and searched his house.
Yeah, and they
found
pot and mushrooms.
Mushrooms, yeah.
And so the thing is, in the average juror's mind, a lot of people are like, oh, pot, it's a harmless plant. But when they start hearing Suboxone, which is an opioid replacement,
he's got a tough case. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
I would not want to be.
But the fact is, at this point, all we have to go on that people are generating their opinions from is a police report. One police affidavit with allegations in it.
Yeah.
The police affidavit is not evidence. It may sound like evidence, but it's not. It's just the report of one police officer who's only reporting one side of the story. And people that want to stay rational and look at things from a detached perspective can do that. Others will jump to conclusions and throw Kyle Tasker under the bus and presume that just because the police said something, it must be true. And I'm sorry, if you've paid any attention to the police, you know that the words coming out of their mouth are suspect.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I was thinking back when I was 14, I was in 9th grade, and I was on the high school, the wrestling team, and if my wrestling coach would have said, you want to go for a romp in the hay, I would have said, sure, why not? So I'm just thinking, for me, it would have been, I wouldn't have considered myself.
You wouldn't have been traumatized by that?
No, of course not. That's just me. Maybe someone else would have been.
Right. And I think that's what, I wonder what, some of the people who are so vehement about this, they'll say things like, well, if you have kids, then your opinions will change about this. And I find myself wondering if they actually had negative sexual experiences when they were young. And that's what it's actually coming out of. Because I did have some sexual experience when I was very young, at about age 11.
With the 16-year-old.
With the 16-year-old who, he's
hold on.
more than 50% older than me.
Let me get my credit card. I'm willing to pay $2.99 a minute to listen to this.
And so, a 16-year-old neighbor who I, was crawling in his window in the middle of the night to go and meet with and do these things with. He wasn't coming to my room. He wasn't, people are saying that he took advantage of me or manipulated me or, damaged me in some sort of way. And I'm sorry, just because that might have been the case with you when you were younger doesn't mean it was the case with me. For me, it was a positive experience where I had fun. The reason why I kept going back was because it was a good time, not because I was being threatened with being stabbed or beaten or something.
Which is a difficult question. How do we determine, when are you old enough to decide for yourself what you want, whether you want to work or not, whether you want to live independently from your parents or not, whether you want to have sex or not? How do we decide that in a libertarian society? Because right now we have the government.
Clearly the libertarians don't agree on it. Yeah. I mean, there's a huge schism over this issue.
No one would agree. I mean, it's like any issue. Like when the problem is, like, if you set some arbitrary age, it's like that's not going to be applicable in every single case.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's the problem with all the government rules. It's like, well, in this one particular case, like, it breaks down, right? Like, the rule is a terrible rule because it had unintended consequence. And
right, and someone's life gets ruined over a lot of this stuff as well. I don't think the person with whom I engaged in sexual behavior at age 11, the 16-year-old, I don't think he deserves to be punished for that, but yet some statutes of limitations would still allow him to be. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can join us here, and this is Free Talk Live.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. MiniCPAP.com now offers a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's called the Transcend Mini CPAP, and right now you can try it risk-free for 10 days by calling 1-800-945-9289. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 10-day at-home trial. 1-800-945-9289. That's 1-800-945-9289.
Are you worried about your mom or dad living alone in their house? Hi, I'm Joan London. Listen, I know how difficult it is to find senior care for someone you love. That's why I recommend a free service called A Place for Mom. They are the nation's largest senior living referral service. Call A Place for Mom today.
To receive free information on senior living communities in your area, call A Place for Mom at 1-800-704-6182.
A Place for Mom offers free one-on-one advice from local advisors and a personalized list of senior living communities you can visit. If you have questions about senior care for your mom or dad, there's a place for answers, A Place for Mom.
Call A Place for Mom in the next 10 minutes to get your free ebook on financing senior care as well as free information on senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-704-6182. That's 1-800-704-6182.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight, it's Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
SaveItPurse.com. I had to lower my discount. I was asking for 40%, 50% off. And I wasn't getting any bites. For a little while, there was like several weeks where I was getting everything at 50% off at Save It Purse. Now I had to lower it to like 30% off, 20%. Boy, these times are tough. I'm only saving 20% to 30% on my purchases.
Isn't the market amazing how it was 50% and then the people move in and say, well, I'll give you 40, then 30, and then 20. And so it's just amazing. I love it when, the days like, for example, trying to buy Bitcoins or something, it used to be really difficult and you had to pay a huge premium. But like on local Bitcoins, the premiums are coming down.
It's gotten a lot easier.
Anyway.
But this is about SaveItPurse.com.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes,
local
go right
Bitcoin.
ahead.
Local Bitcoin's a great site, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
use
didn't mean to
use it
interrupt
myself.
your train of thought there. My bad.
Save It Purse is a way for you to get stuff on Amazon that you normally would be getting anyway at regular Amazon prices, but instead paying 20% or 30% less than regular Amazon prices because you're paying with Bitcoin. And all you have to do to make that possible is go to SaveItPurse.com and get started there. That's SaveItPurse.com. As we go to David, he's on the line in Keene via Skype. Hello, David.
Hi.
Hey there.
I just have a couple of questions for Ian.
Sure.
One, do you actively pursue just recently pubescent girls? I mean, is this your niche or no? Can you say yes or no to that? Or
no, I do not.
Nope. And I can verify it. None of the girls he's ever slept with were prepubescent.
Okay, can I ask one other question?
Sure.
Where would you make an emphatic an age? Is there an age that you would say that is wrong? No.
Yeah, I've already said, I don't believe that people should have sex with children. I don't think that's okay. But I'm not going to just say there's some age where all of a sudden magically sex becomes okay, because some people may be older than that age and sex may not be okay for them. So, no, I don't choose.
Actually, there are people. I can give you a concrete example. People who are mentally retarded, it doesn't matter if they're 30 or 40 years old. They cannot consent to sexual relations because they are not competent in the mental capacity of the law. So
I think that's sad. I think that they should be able to consent to sex.
Well, the law says if someone's profoundly mentally retarded, they cannot consent to sex because they don't have the capacity to understand what they're
they're prohibited from having sex for their entire lives?
Yes.
I mean, that's insane. I think that's just crazy.
Can I ask one other?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask one other quick thing?
Yep.
What about intervention? If you know someone, I mean, you pretty much know, I mean, you're not in the bedroom, but, you know, you can be pretty sure that someone's being sexually abused, an older person doing it with a younger kid or whatever, in your neighborhood across the street from you, and you're aware of it. Would you intervene in some way, shape, or form, or have someone else intervene?
I don't want to think that I would, simply because I like the idea of live and let live, that it's none of my business. But if I knew someone were being harmed and it was not something they wanted, then I would maybe perhaps get involved. If it was something I was certain about and it was someone who I cared about and was aware of, then I perhaps might get involved if indeed it was something I knew they did not want. But as we discussed recently in this video that I was talking about that I posted on the Free Keene blog, it's on the blog post that is entitled "I'm No Longer a Free Stater, but You Should Go to Porkfest," and definitely move to New Hampshire if you love liberty. Kind of a long title, but it's the one that I made last night. Where we get into detail about this, and we talk about the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And thank you for the call tonight, David. I appreciate hearing from you. The Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a topic we've discussed on this program in the past, and they have very different beliefs than a lot of people do about what is okay for relationships. There are men in their 50s and 60s in that cult, as I understand it, who are taking on wives of very, very young ages. We're talking about 12 or younger.
Are you talking about Pastor Jeffs, Warren Jeffs?
Warren Jeffs is one of the people who's been brought up on criminal charges from that group, but it's a much bigger group than that. I mean, we're talking about maybe thousands, if not hundreds of people. And so within the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they are basically just assigning young girls to older men as wives. Of course, they're polygamous, so they have multiple wives. And I don't know what the youngest age range is, but I've heard it's possibly even younger than 12. I've definitely heard 12 years old, and I've heard perhaps even younger. So you're talking about, you know, people who aren't even teenagers in that particular case. And I think that that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. There was a story about years ago we talked about on this show about how they raided a compound in Texas. The Texas government raided them and stole all of their kids from them. Like hundreds of children, if I'm recalling correctly, were stolen from these people. And I don't think that's okay. I understand that what they're doing, most people would find abhorrent. And I don't agree with what they're doing. But it's not my culture. It's not my life. It's not my place to involve myself in that. Because David's asking, well, what if you knew this was going on? Well, we know that's going on. We know that's happening right now in the FLDS cult. And some people want to get involved, and I think that the right way to get involved in that is to give those kids a way out. If they want to get out, they should have a way to get out. Now, they're sort of isolated. They're in Arizona and Utah, and their compounds are generally away from other people, so it may be physically difficult to actually leave from one of these places. But there are sort of underground networks of former people who have been in the cult, usually males, because they're excluded from the cult.
I mean, you have to be really careful. I mean, I watched a thing today on John Stossel on free-range kids, and you have to be really careful when you start applying your values to children. Like imagine, some people may say, well, if the parents smoke pot, the children should be taken.
Yes.
If the parents let's say have a crazy religion,
or if they have, say, a threesome every now and again, or they wife swap,
or if they don't vaccinate their children,
away.
let's say.
Oh yeah,
that's another one. Like at what point do you make the call? Like, we're going to intervene and step in and take people's children? And I think it's really
I don't
scary.
feel comfortable making that call.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is it's like a slippery slope thing. It's like at some point they might say, well, if you give your kid Coke or whatever you want to do for your children.
Coke as in Coke and Pepsi, not Coke as in cocaine.
Okay, that's what I meant.
I was curious as to which Coke.
Well, either one.
I just wanted to clarify that for our listeners.
I don't think giving cocaine to children's a good idea, for the record.
I don't either. But it's also something that is none of my business if someone else is doing that. It's not my family.
I don't know if I would arrest someone for it, and I guess that's the difference.
No,
maybe.
And the reason why you shouldn't is because as a libertarian, you understand that in order to be free, you have to allow other people to be free.
Like, to me, the correct response is like, look, this is a terrible thing you're doing to your children. Here's why it's bad.
And we will shun you, so we are not going to talk to you. Or, I mean, that is a good question. And when does it become okay for the state to intervene in your private affairs because they think what you're doing is abhorrent?
The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. I think if you're going to rescue a kid from a situation that you think is wrong, then you should better be prepared for that kid to say, I did not want to go with you, and you kidnapped me, and now you're responsible for kidnapping
That's a good
that
point.
person. 855-450-FREE. If you are rescuing a kid from a situation that they did not want to be in, then I think that's a good thing. But I think it should be up to them. 855-450-3733. And apparently, that's why I'm a monster.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Don't know what's in your drinking water? Better get a ProPure. With the Pro 1G 2.0 all-in-one filter, remove over 200 contaminants, including fluoride and lead. Taste water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure water filtration products. There's a ProPure system for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details on our current free shipping special or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Does this ever happen to you? Moments after you're introduced to someone, you forget his or her name. It's a common faux pas you'll want to avoid, especially if you're a job seeker. And even if you're not, here's a tip. As you are being introduced, and while you're still shaking hands, smiling, and making eye contact, say the person's name aloud. Not only does that make a deposit in your memory bank, it acknowledges the other person. And that is more than a nuance, as is maintaining eye contact. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
You give someone an ounce of liberty and they'll go around abusing it and harming everyone else with it.
If we legalize guns...
People will be shooting people everywhere.
Right.
If you legalize prostitution, people will be having sex on the street corners. If you legalize drugs, we'll have heroin vending machines in the streets. We've heard it all on Free Talk Live. They take it to the most absurd, illogical extremes, and you're absolutely right, Alexander. It's okay for them to have freedom.
Yeah, you can give them a gun. They won't go around shooting people. But watch out with their neighbor, because you give them a gun, they'll go around in a rampage around the city killing everyone.
But yes, they can be trusted, and apparently the government can be trusted too, because magically, we only elect the best of the best, the cream of the crop. The bureaucrats that are administering these programs are the upper echelon of society, the most trustworthy individuals.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes when I squint, I swear I can see a halo above their heads.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and of course you can join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Keenevention is coming up later this year. Some people are upset about the Porcupine Freedom Festival, the Free State Project banning me from their events, banning me from PortFest, banning me from the Liberty Forum.
They're banning your whole network. I thought maybe I could...
No, they're not. They are... That wasn't clear in the press release that they made if they were banning the whole network. What they are doing is they're banning me, and basically Free Talk Live is my show, so Free Talk Live is not going to be attending. But the entire network has not been banned, so some of the shows on LRN.FM are right now debating whether or not they want to even go to the event. And if they are going to go to the event, it sounds like a couple of them will still go to the event. And so they are working on negotiating a new deal with the Free State Project, which from what I understand, there will be a prohibition on hanging any LRN banners in the media room.
Okay.
So there may still be some LRN.FM programming available at this year's Porcupine Freedom Festival. That is being worked out behind the scenes right now, which I'm sure will upset some of the people who petitioned against me, and they will likely cause a ruffle.
Now, I've never actually been. I mean, I've wanted to go to Porcupine Festival, but I've always been busy every June. So can you tell me what is it like? Because I've actually said, well, obviously I might not be going this year now that the Liberty Radio Network's been kicked out, because it's like, well, that's kind of the whole purpose of me going, was to report on the things that go on there. But it's like, well,
it's kind of like I don't know, I describe it as like a festival in the woods. It's kind of like
Woodstock, but with drugs.
Yeah, that's
and
kind of interesting way of
unlicensed haircuts. I remember that was the thing, is like people were getting haircuts, and the people who were doing the haircutting, they didn't have licenses, and people were dying. There was blood running in the streets. People were getting stabbed by scissors because they weren't trained properly on how to cut hair.
I think those people without getting the permits are ruining the liberty movement. I mean, that's causing like state agents to go up there and press.
Well, the neighbors think.
I know there was this one douchebag. He was getting in the face of a couple of New Hampshire sales tax collectors. They were getting up there going, say, hey, do you have your sales tax certificate? And this one douchebag was putting a camera in their face going, let's be honest, you're going to have men with guns come and throw these people in a cage if they don't pay you your ransom. And they were all getting all irked at this one guy. I don't know who that guy might have been. Ian, do you know who that guy was?
That was me.
Oh, darn it.
It's the most recent Portfest.
It's also been described, I guess, as kind of like a Burning Man.
A libertarian Burning Man.
Yeah, without all the dust and the free
and
giveaways
without the
and stuff.
and without the commies. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think that Porkfest is a bad event. I don't think it'll be a bad event this year without Free Talk Live. I understand that there are some people who feel very strongly about this, and they've decided they want a refund. I know Pete Eyre from copblock.org has asked for a refund, and there have been a number of others, people like Virgil Vaduva from Cell 411, and Ademo Freeman, also from copblock.org. So a lot of people are saying that they're fed up with this decision, that they would not want to attend the event because of what the Free State Project has decided here, and I respect that and I understand that. But for anybody who's never been before, for somebody who's on the fence or somebody who thinks they want to go, I would say go. Look, I got no hard feelings towards the people involved. I understand that they're doing what they feel is right for their organization. Yeah. I don't know if I agree with their decision, but that's the decision that they made, and it is what it is.
Yeah. And they are a private organization, so they can, if they wanted to have it family friendly, where no drugs, no nudity, and basically no fun stuff at all.
That's kind of what I was hearing is like maybe like car searches, like you have to sign a thing, like no drugs, no recording,
take a drug test.
Obviously, I'm just kidding.
They're probably not going to go that far, but they did search some people's cars previous years because they heard rumor that Chris Cantwell was going to be snuck into the event, and so they actually did demand to search some people's cars as they were.
Yeah, and they were all
in.
wearing the Chris Cantwell masks, and they were all wearing those Chris. That
did happen once. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what happened yesterday, and so I have resigned from the Free State Project. It's a shame because it was a darn good run, but ultimately people have been asking me, "Are you okay?" And it's like, yeah, no, I'm totally fine. It's just another day. I'm working now on promoting, the Shire Society and Keenevention. There are alternatives to the Free State Project. Back in 2010, at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, we had the signing of the Shire Society Declaration. This was essentially the creation of a new society of individual-minded, liberty-oriented people who were declaring their independence from the state, from the idea of the state, and joining into a society of those people. That's what the Shire Society is. You can go to shiresociety.com, and you can read the Shire Society Declaration there, which kind of outlines the beliefs of those people who have signed it, signed the declaration, and plan to move to New Hampshire. And there's some important key differences here between the Shire Society and the Free State Project. One is there is no Shire Society Board of Directors. There's no organization whatsoever to the Shire Society. There are the people who signed the Shire Society Declaration, and that's it. And we don't even know who all of those people are. There are two ways, basically, to sign the Shire Society Declaration. One, you go to shiresociety.com. You can read the declaration there, and you can put your signature on via, like, a comment on WordPress. So that would be a public way to sign the Shire Society Declaration. There's a private way, an anonymous way to do it. You download a copy of the PDF version of the Shire Society Declaration, print it out, and sign it. And then no one knows that you've done that. So there's basically no membership roles. There's no way to be excised from the Shire Society, and there's no board of directors to do the excising in the first place.
Okay, Ian, what about I just look at the document and say, yeah, I agree with all the principles there, and I'm like, okay, I'll sign it mentally.
Sure.
And that way there's no physical piece of paper that could incriminate me when the feds bust down the door.
You could download it to your desktop and then like PDF sign it, like if you really wanted to be high tech.
Yeah, if you wanted to sign it in your mind, that's fine with me too, because again, there's no way to track who is signing these things.
And this is not necessarily a bad thing. I think that like when groups get too large, it can cause problems. So it's like it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're splintering. It's like it allows each group to focus on what's important to them.
Well,
absolutely.
You see this in any large organization, be it a corporate organization or the Boy Scouts of America, or you always have infighting, people trying to vie for control. And if you don't agree with the people who are in control of your organization, if you don't agree with what they're doing, then go off and form your own organization.
Right.
That's what a lot of us in Keene have done. Saying, well, we don't like what they're doing, or the fact we don't think they're doing anything at all. We're just going to do our thing. And that's one thing Ian's always been very supportive. He'll be like, well, it's not how I would do it, but if you think it'll work, go ahead and try it.
I remember growing up and, my parents took me to the Methodist church, and I remember there would be controversies about, this preacher did X, Y, Z, and like, so the way the Methodist church works is like they send you, they basically rotate the preachers. So, You know, like, it was like real controversial. Like, we got one of the guys that no one liked, and like, it was just all kinds of infighting. Like, I remember just growing up to this stuff. So
it's frustrating.
It's not anything new. It's like all organizations
and this
suffer
isn't
from
anything
this.
new either. I mean, this is just the latest schism within the Free State Project, and I just happened to be the schism this time. Like, I was the one that was cut out, and it was over a new issue, which actually really wasn't a new issue because I've had my views on age of consent for a long time, which is an interesting point that some people have made on this, is that, how come, knowing Ian's views on age of consent, why is it now that all of a sudden they are a problem? Why is it that now all of a sudden it's worth kicking me out of? I think it's because I've run out of my usefulness, right? They've got to their 20,000 signers, and
which kind of gets me like, why? What are they still doing now that we have? Well, they're trying to.
Well, now
get the
they've
people
changed
to, move here.
to 20,000 movers, which ensures the organization will continue on for quite a while.
And once we get 20, because I said, like, it's not just enough to move up here. You need to actually move up here and do something however minor that might be. So, if you're a liberty-minded person, sure, it's one thing to talk about liberty, but you don't have to be confrontational. I mean, some of the kinds of activism I do are very quiet. So I stamp the back of green Federal Reserve notes.
Yep, we were doing that today.
Doing that today. It says, end the drug war, vote not guilty as a juror, fully informed juryassociation.org. And I stamp the back of several hundred bills each day from the bank, and then when we put them into the supply, the hope is someone will look at the back of a bill and go, jury nullification, what is that? And they'll go to FIJs.
Well, some people might look at it and get mad, so you should quit doing that.
Well, if they get mad, they won't know who I am because it'll be on the back of a bill, by which time I'm long gone.
That's true. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. So whether you want to talk about schisms or whatever happens to be on your mind, you can take control of the airwaves, and this is Free Talk Live.
Imagine your life 5 years from now. Are you on the path you want to be on? It's time to take control of your future by getting a world-class education from one of the nation's top universities. Arizona State University is now offering over 100 top-tier degree programs 100% online. It's the exact same degree our on-campus students receive, but you can learn from anywhere in the country on your own schedule. For information, call 1-800-939-9426. Learn from ASU's world-renowned faculty and use ASU's global recognition to improve your visibility, professional network, and gain real-world experience you can start using today. The Wall Street Journal ranked ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates. Now discover how ASU Online can stand out on your resume and help separate you from the competition. We're ready to help you learn to thrive in your life, in your career, and beyond. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-939-9426. That's 1-800-939-9426.
Hey everyone, with 20 plus years as a radio host, I've seen about everything. One thing that keeps recurring, though, are these timeshare charlatans. These high-pressure salespeople who get folks to come out to some resort for a special weekend offer. Then they get them in a corner and browbeat them and coerce them into buying a timeshare they don't need, they don't want, and they can't afford. And then they're stuck with that thing forever. Monthly payments, mortgage payments, annual fees, they keep going up and up. Well, up until recently, people thought they couldn't get rid of these things. You can't get out of the contract, you can't get out of the deed or the membership. Well, that's not true. My friends at American Consumer Credit, a timeshare release company, can get you free. That's their personal guarantee. 12 years in business, free consultation, A-plus rating with the BBB, they're the real deal. You want to get out of your timeshare contract? Call them now. 800-587-EXIT. That's 800-587-3948. 800-587-EXIT. Call now, 800-587-3948.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. Following yesterday's big rise in gold and silver, on Friday gold is down $7 at $1,253 per ounce. Silver is down 9 cents at $15.91 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $413 US. I like to take advantage of these little Friday pullbacks as traders try to finish the week taking a profit. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live. We're inviting you right here, toll-free, 855-450-FREE. You can bring up whatever's on your mind, 855-450-3733. And this whole controversy with the Free State Project kicking me out of their events, the Porcupine Freedom Festival and the Liberty Forum, prohibiting me from going there. The term they used in their press release was disinvited. But I did email, or I sent a text message to the president of the Free State Project to clarify what that meant, because it was the same term they used with Chris Cantwell. When they ejected Chris Cantwell from their events, they disinvited him from them. And you could read that as, oh, well, we're just not inviting you. That could mean that you could attend. We just aren't extending an invitation to you. That's one way you could interpret disinvited. But apparently what it actually means is prohibited. So some people have been confused about what disinviting means. And to the Free State Project, that word means you are not allowed to come to these events. You are prohibited from being there. So,
I'm just looking at the Free State Project's thing that they actually posted about this. And I always love these press releases at just how politically correct they are. So you have to have your first paragraph saying what the Free State Project is.
Sure.
The second paragraph is what Free Talk Live is. The third is how you both love each other. And then the fourth paragraph is generally, but as you might, it's like, listen to this one. As one might expect of any group of 20,000 or more people, from time to time, participants have engaged in controversial behavior or espoused controversial opinions. When a media personality does this, and da-da-da-da. And so I'm just...
Which I've done many times over the last decade.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and that's why with a sad and heavy heart, we regret to say that Ian Freeman has decided to go a separate way from our organization.
Now, you're making that part up. You're not reading.
Well, no, I'm kind of just like, basically, that's like with the timbre, the feel of any of these press releases. They could just come up and say, we don't want Ian Freeman at our events anymore, but that would be too crass and terse. So they have this. Well, I think Ian Freeman has done a lot to get the Free State.
That's a nice way to do things. I mean, you don't. A crass and terse is the way Chris Cantwell does things.
Yeah.
The professional Free State Project is going to be a little more professional in how they handle things. If you want to give somebody critique, you usually want to butter them up a little bit with saying something nice first, right?
Yeah.
So I would say it's a nice way for them to say this relationship is over.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what I read like from the NSA press office. They'll always have this beautiful flowing when someone gets the family flu. And so for those of you who aren't government workers, the family flu is when on a Friday a high-level bureaucrat says, I am not going to resign because of this latest controversy. I love this agency and I've worked here 40 years and I'm not quitting. Come Monday morning, they say, I've given this a lot of thought and I decided I want to spend more time with my family. And they're not telling the truth, because any bureaucrat working for the federal government, the last thing they want to do is spend time with their family. That's why they got government jobs. And, so I always like it when George 10th, that was my favorite example. I am not resigning because of the war in Iraq intelligence failures. And then it was literally like less than a week later, he decided to spend more time with his family. And so the family flu makes its go around Washington about once a year, where every bureaucrat who's a high-level official decides that they want to spend more time with their family.
When they're in some hot water.
Yeah, when they're in hot water due to some crisis, some political crisis.
The corporate world has their own language for that, too. They say like, let's say we're going to fire you. They say, "Oh,
pursuing other career opportunities."
DJ is now pursuing
other career opportunities.
They always say that. We wish him well in his future endeavors
and thank him for his many years of service, which is why we're kicking him out.
Yeah. Well, so there are some people who are upset about this, and they've decided to boycott the Porcupine Freedom Festival. Others are talking about creating a competing event that might end up be calling Band Camp, which is kind of cute, BANNED, Band Camp. So who knows what's going to come out of this? And this is something that always happens with schisms and has for years in the Free State Project. Whenever there's an organization that gets too large, there was a long time ago, there was a group called the NH Free Forum, and that splintered into the Free Keene Forums and the NH Free Forum, and the Free Keene Forum became the Shire Society Forum. So these things have happened a number of times, and there's always new growth that comes out of them. So if the Free State Project goes in sort of a more family-friendly, prudish direction, whatever you want to call it, square direction, as there have been a group of people who've wanted them to for a number of years, then that's great. It's just going to make room for the more kind of libertine side of the movement to come out. So if somebody does end up creating a separate competing event to the Porcupine Freedom Festival, I suspect that'll end up attracting more of the outside of the system folks, the alt expos, the libertine types.
Forget all that camping nonsense. Let's have a rave party.
Yeah.
Well, there is actually going to be Halloween coming up in toward the end of the year. So it's interesting that now the Free State Project is cutting me out right after the same year that the Buzz's Big Gay Dance Party has ended. So there's no more Big Gay Dance Party, from what I understand, at the Porcupine Freedom Festival. And last year at Buzz's Big Gay Dance Party, Derek J. and I got up on the stage and announced that Halloween would sort of be taking the torch, so to speak, from the Big Gay Dance Party. And given that Flaming Freedom is a great liberty-oriented LGBTQ radio show, they're the ones who have been handling the running of Halloween. And this year, Ann Leverett has agreed to be the head mistress of the Halloween dance party, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. So we do have sort of the son of, if you will, the Big Gay Dance Party happening right here in Keene this fall on November 5th. It's going to be Halloween on the 5th of November. Remember, the 5th of November. So I think it's going to be...
The gunpowder treason and plot. I see of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgotten.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's going to be, I think, extra fun. We already had 2 V costumes last year, so this year should be interesting. So that's going to be happening during Keenevention, which is in its 4th year this year. And Keenevention is kind of an example, not really that it came out of a schism, but it's the idea of something arising from ashes. So one year, the Free State Project's Liberty Forum didn't happen. So this year's Liberty Forum was the 9th Liberty Forum, but it should have been the 10th, because in 2011 there was no Liberty Forum. And the reason why there wasn't was because they brought on this guy to organize it as a new organizer, and he apparently totally dropped the ball and didn't negotiate with the hotel within enough time to actually lock down the dates and all that. And so basically they had to scuttle the Liberty Forum for that year. And it was at that time that I realized we didn't know if it was going to come back, right? There was no Liberty Forum. And so I said, well, gosh, if there's not going to be a Liberty Forum, then somebody's got to make a new convention-style event, because, I mean, PorcFest is great, but it's important to have that hotel convention because not everyone wants to go out
in the middle of a field and camping in
right.
the unclimate-controlled environment.
I mean, there is a motel at PorcFest, but it's still a hot camping festival. Yeah. You can't stay in your hotel the whole day.
Liberty Forum is kind of like for the business suits, people who wear suit and tie and are very serious.
But not really. I mean, those people can attend, but you can still wear a shirt and shorts at Liberty Forum.
Well, I got to admit, the plumbing issues at PorcFest were kind of a turnoff to me. They had
the campground has had flooding sewage issues for a couple years in a row. It's tough.
I don't know if they resolved that or not, but
I know they've been working on it, but Keenevention is a good alternative. So if you're not going to the Porcupine Freedom Festival and you're upset because you wanted to see all your friends or you wanted to meet people at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, then please come to Keenevention. Go to keenevention.info. It's happening November 4th through the 6th. Tickets are available right now, and the ticket prices are back to where they were in 2013 when we started Keenevention, because we're moving to a new, more affordable venue. It's going to be right in the heart of downtown Keene, so new location completely, which is I'm very excited about. It's still going to be the same great Keenevention with activists talking about activism. So instead of big name speakers like the Jeffrey Tuckers, not like I have anything against Jeffrey Tucker, he's a fine gentleman, but the big name speakers from National, they're not coming to Keenevention. We don't invite those people to Keenevention. We invite only New Hampshire-based activists for the most part. I made one exception last year for Gavin Andreessen, the creator of one of the creators of Bitcoin.
Yep.
But and he only lives a half hour south of here, an hour south of here. So he's in the region. But Keenevention focuses on New Hampshire liberty activists and the activism that they're doing. And you can see what past Keeneventions have been like. James, you did a great keynote speech a couple of years ago. Just go to keenevention.info. You can see that. You can watch the entire curriculum, every panel discussion, every keynote speech that has ever happened on stage at Keenevention. You can watch it for free. Just go to keenevention.info and find the video tab up under the media link. So go to keenevention.info, grab your tickets now for that. And it was interesting because so far this year we haven't really had any sales for Keenevention, but yesterday we had more sales. We had like two or three or four sales yesterday for Keenevention. I think 4. I think 2 Bitcoin and 2 Eventbrite. So if you want to get $5 off the Eventbrite tickets, use code FTL at keenevention.info. And are you going this year, TJ, do you think?
I would go only if I could go as a Liberty Radio Network reporter. Because I would want to do, because CNN, they send...
You want free admission, do you?
No, not free admission, but I want to have an official business reason to be there and hang out with the CNN press pool. And because remember, CNN did a story, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? They sent out a...
They were at PorkFest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not Keenevention.
Or not Keenevention, I'm sorry. I was on Keen.
It would be great if CNN showed up at Keenevention.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have to confess, every now and again, my brain does a little bit of a freeze. So despite being incredibly smart and very powerful... a cerebral brain, sometimes it does malfunction on me, and I just totally lose track of what we're talking about. So I apologize for that.
So yeah, but if you want to go to PorkFest, I still think you should go to PorkFest. And if you want to join the Free State Project, you should join the Free State Project. But if you're looking for alternatives, we do have them. Keenevention is one of them. And the other alternative that you should consider is the Shire Society at shiresociety.com. You can sign the Shire Society Declaration, declare your independence, and start planning your move to New Hampshire. You did? Excellent. All right, so 855, 450 free. Coming up, the Lavabit story. We'll get into that. What's going on with Edward Snowden? 855, 450 free. It's Free Talk Live.
Here's a good idea. When you have a legal matter like creating your will or legally setting up a business with a corporation or LLC, you don't necessarily need a law firm. Use LegalZoom.com. At LegalZoom.com, you answer straightforward questions online, and they take care of the rest. They even review your answers for common mistakes and guarantee your satisfaction. Free Talk Live listeners, you'll get 10% off your order by typing in FTL in the referral box at purchase. Don't procrastinate with these important legal documents. LegalZoom.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, March 18th, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.02 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,252 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $420. Antiwar.com reports Saudi warplanes launched a series of airstrikes against a crowded marketplace in Hajjah province on Tuesday, and UN officials finally established a final death toll for the incident, saying 119 civilians were killed. Saudi officials, who on Tuesday denied having attacked the market at all, on Thursday confirmed the incident, saying they attacked a quant market where a militia gathering was happening, backing it up with claims that as many as 33 of the slain were Shiites and thus presumptive allies of the Houthi rebellion. The incident is the latest in a number of huge incidents of Saudi airstrikes killing large numbers of civilians as the Saudi war against Yemen approaches its one-year anniversary. Estimates have put the death toll in the war at over 6,200, with the majority being civilians and those overwhelmingly killed in Saudi strikes. The UN issued a report earlier this year harshly critical of the Saudis for their systematic targeting of civilians across Yemen, saying it could amount to a crime against humanity. They also faulted the Saudi naval blockade of Yemen as an attempt to deliberately starve the population. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Federal Trade Commission issued warning letters to app developers using SilverPush, software that monitors a device's microphone to better understand consumer buying habits. The FTC said letters were issued to 12 Google Play app developers that appear to include SilverPush, warning they could be in violation of federal privacy disclosure requirements. SilverPush is embedded software in some apps that monitor consumers' television use through the use of audio beacons emitted by televisions. The sound is inaudible but can be detected by the software. Jessica Rich, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, said these apps are capable of listening in the background and collecting information about consumers without notifying them. Companies should tell people what information is collected, how it is collected, and who it is shared with. The FTC said SilverPush can be running even if the customers do not know it. SilverPush says that no television shows in the United States use the software. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a lawsuit filed against Uber claiming that the ride-sharing company was to blame for the jailing of an Uber driver who is charged with murder is a hoax, according to the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office said officials became suspicious of the suit filed in the name of murder suspect Jason Dalton, who is currently jailed in Kalamazoo, Michigan, after seeing the online filing. The online filing includes a facsimile of the envelope used to send the suit, which had a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania postmark. Pali Matias, an undersheriff, said in an interview, "Our mail does not go to Philadelphia." That raised a lot of suspicion right there. The envelope in court documents was not a jail envelope, the postage did not match what the county jail uses, and the handwritten court filing did not match handwriting the office had on file of Dalton. Deputies spoke with Dalton on Thursday in jail. Matias said that he did not send it and did not authorize it and did not know about it, adding that Dalton's attorneys also had no knowledge of the lawsuit, stating all of that translates into a hoax. U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, where the lawsuit was filed, was informed by the Sheriff's Office that it found the suit to be a hoax. If the lawsuit is proven to be fraudulent, it may take some time to remove the handwritten filing from the court's online records system. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
On June 4th, 1919, a group of bold, passionate men took it upon themselves to pass the Women's Suffrage Act, finally granting women the right to vote that they were too frail and helpless to achieve on their own. Having long watched women struggle to stand up for their right to choose elected officials, the strong and capable men decided to intercede and aid their weak female counterparts. And And on June 6, 1972, David Bowie's release of his concept album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, kick-started the glam rock genre and led to such spin-off trends as glam medicine, glam sports, and glamcatecture, all culminating in the 1976 presidential glam election. And that was what happened this week in history. In the words of French King John II, history will forever remember the great names of Alexander and Napoleon and Washington. But what about me, John II of France? I did stuff too.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. And, of course, you can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Launching here with Ian with you.
James.
And TJ the Spy.
And we've got Skype. So Skype on into the show at username LRN.FM. Right there at the top of our website tonight, freetalklive.com, where you can actually create the content that you want to share with us. So you find some sort of post on the internet, maybe it's a news website or a YouTube video or something funny, whatever you want to post you think our listeners will enjoy, you post it over in our Reddit-based system at freetalklive.com, and then other listeners can vote it up or down, whether they like or dislike. The story, TJ, that you are interested in discussing also happens to be the #1 story on our website tonight, submitted by Guy from V, and it's about the Lavabit investigation. Now, bring our listeners up to speed. There are probably people out there listening saying, Lava what?
Lavabit. Okay, so there was a guy named Ladar Levinson, and he opened an anonymous email service that supported PGP encryption natively.
We actually had him on the show once.
Yes, and the idea was that you could send, if someone wasn't fluent with PGP, because PGP is a pretty good privacy, invented by Phil Zimmerman. It's a very, very strong encryption program.
It's been the go-to
gold
encryption
standard
method for a long time.
Yes. In fact, not even the NSA can break PGP when it's properly implemented and you use a large enough key size. And
Edward Snowden recommends
PGP, as do I. I use PGP for all my secure email needs, and it's free. It's not a program. It's actually a standard.
But there's a learning curve involved.
Unfortunately, yes. They've shown time and time again that when you try and introduce public key cryptography to average people to get them to use the encryption software, there's a lot of things you have to learn to do, like what is the difference between the public key and the private key. And something like 90% of people, when they try to do encryption for the first time, they mess it up somehow. They don't check the right box, or they send the wrong key, or they don't type in the right passphrase, and they end up sending their email out in the clear. And that's one thing, time and time again, if you're going to be secure, you got to train and practice. I mean, even at the NSA, it was we kind of had to stupid proof or idiot proof. Actually, we had to smart proof our devices, because what would happen is somebody would get, they would actually get around our measures to prevent the reuse of code keys. So for one example, you're never supposed to reuse a password. That is a very common sense security device, and people would reuse passwords all the time. So,
meaning on like one website to another.
One website to another.
Passwords.
And so, if we tried to implement a method to say you can't reuse a password, so if you entered Mike Smith 1 and you tried to use that password again on another website, it would say, oh, no, you can't do that. Well, someone would say, well, I'm just going to use Mike Smith 2, Mike Smith 3, Mike Smith 4. So they'd get around the intention, which is don't reuse a password. So we would have to invent things like a little scissor, a razor blade. It would slice the key tape in half to prevent people from reusing it. And inevitably, some E3 on the ship, the Navy ship, would say, oh, well, we're out of key tape. So he would get a piece of Scotch tape and tape the thing back together and run it back through the machine. And it's like, well, no, that the whole reason we put those cutters there was to prevent you from using it again, to promote security. So we've had to, a lot of times security is the opposite of usability.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you want to make a computer secure, you have more passwords, more layers of authentication, and it becomes very difficult to use it properly.
It's so easy to screw it up, too. Like, I've sent a lot of PGP emails, and, like, one time, like, I'd set the client up to automatically do that, and then I think it updated or something, and it undid that setting.
Yeah.
So I sent an email in the clear.
And you thought it was encrypted.
Yeah, and then later on I looked at it and I was like, what? Why
I
can
know we
read
always have a
this?
joke, like I'll send Ian a PGP encrypted message, and he'll have problems with it every single time.
And I know more than the average person about PGP. I can successfully use PGP, but you take PGP to some new level that I'm not familiar with. So,
well, yes.
So, like, if somebody just sends me a PGP email, 99% of the time, I have no problem decrypting it. But you do something different to yours that makes it harder to.
And we'll have to figure that out.
But
anyway,
know what it is.
But Lavabit made the using PGP.
TJ, hold on. I just want to just go after TJ in just a moment here.
Okay.
Because the last time you sent me something PGP, you even tried to walk me through the steps to unencrypt it, and it wouldn't work. So
and
I think it was a problem on your end. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing is I've been getting multiple people saying I can't decrypt. So I thought maybe there's a problem with GNU Privacy Guard somewhere that I need to look into. But anyway, Lavabit, they allowed you to use PGP very simply and easily. An average person could use it.
So it was like built into the system.
It was built in. It was native part of the system. So.
But don't you have to trust the person who's making that system then?
You do. And so that was the thing. The FBI filed a wiretap warrant, one of those national security letters on Ladar Levinson, the owner of Lavabit. And rather than comply with the order, he said, well, I'm going to shut down the whole service. So anybody who was using Lavabit, they all lost their emails. But that was preferable than having the FBI possibly spy on one of them. He said it's important that people know that if they're using Lavabit, they're not being spied on by any government agency, and that includes the FBI. And the moment the FBI came searching, and everyone was like, well, who are they searching for? And everyone thought, well, it has to be Edward Snowden, because it was literally like a week or two after this whole Snowden thing blew up. And so everyone's like, oh, they served a national security letter on Lavabit to try and get Edward Snowden's emails. And everybody kind of knew that, but
now it's been confirmed.
Ladar Levinson was prohibited by a gag order, and he's for the past 3 years he has been prohibited by court order under threat of contempt of court from revealing who the target of the investigation is. Now, thankfully for the federal government, inevitably, if they do something long enough, they will screw it up.
Yeah.
I have yet to meet a government employee who does not screw up something at least 1% of the time. And that actually happened this week. Actually, it happened earlier this March. In this court case, he was fighting for the right to say who was the FBI was targeting. And the FBI, when they filed a piece of paper in the case, it actually had Ed Snowden at lavabit.com.
Wah, wah, wah.
So they accidentally released the FBI. It is now official. The FBI has confirmed, because they accidentally leaked it themselves in public court documents,
that they were looking to raid his account.
They were using a national security letter to get Edward Snowden's.
But ultimately, they couldn't get his information because it was PGP encrypted. And what they wanted to do, if I'm recalling, correct me if I'm wrong on this, because this is one of the more interesting parts of the Lavabit case, was a judge demanded that what happened was the judge, as I understood it, demanded from Lavabit, from Ladar Levinson, the encryption key.
Yes, their SSL certificate keys.
And what he did was he complied with the order by printing the encryption key
in like
on
5-point
paper,
font
in very, very small print. So here you go. Here's the encryption key, which bought him enough time to completely shut down his entire service.
You know what that reminds me of? So when the city of Keene here, they filed the lawsuit against the Robin Hood lawsuit, Pete Eyre wrote his response, and he clicked,
very small,
and he clicked print, and like the printer supposedly screwed up, and it printed it like size 4, and he just turned it in anyway, and they were so pissed.
Yeah, they weren't happy about that.
Yeah,
I thought that was a brilliant way to respond to that judge's demand. Like, oh, you want my key? Well, here you go.
Yes,
here's a printed copy of it. Good luck typing that in. Can you imagine? I mean, it would be hard enough to just type in a short
passphrase,
like a Bitcoin address, which is relatively short. That would take a little while to discern. But to go through pages of
it wouldn't be that. It's 4,096 bits.
So what is it, 2 pages or something like that?
You're talking about 300 or 400 alphanumeric characters.
Didn't they also want the metadata, like who he was sending messages to?
They wanted everything that they had, but more importantly, they wanted them to put a back door. So the whole thing
so they could spy anytime they wanted on his customers.
The whole thing about Lavabit is the owner of Lavabit could not read any of the email messages to or from another Lavabit customer or to another person who had PGP encryption. So the whole thing is, if you were a Lavabit customer and you were talking with another Lavabit customer, nobody at Lavabit could read your email.
As it should be.
They could read the encrypted ciphertext. They could see that you had talked to them.
Which looks like garbage.
But they couldn't see they couldn't understand what you had said.
So the toll-free number tonight, if you want to join us, your comments on privacy, security, Ed Snowden, Lavabit, you can still comment on the Porcupine Freedom Festival, the banning of me from that event this summer, and also the Liberty Forum. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up also, the Venezuelan government is on the attack against Bitcoin. So you know it's a good thing. You got to get those Bitcoin. It's Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-975-5269. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-975-5269. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-975-5269. That's 1-800-975-5269.
Hey guys, Pat Matthews here to tell you about the newest and best way to sell products online. It's buysellmakeoffer.com. An enormously revolutionary way to sell your stuff online. It's time to clean out the garage, your old golf clubs, sports equipment, tools, and yes, even your car. Forget about the way the other guys have taken more than their share from you when the sales were finalized. Look, it's happened to me over and over and over. Then I found buysellmakeoffer.com. They will never charge you item fees. Just go there right now to sign up and load all your stuff to our server to sell. This is not an auction site. Sell your car, sell your home. Realtor, sign up now. Videos, then add your creativity to sell your items quickly and with no fees. Go right now to buysellmakeoffer.com and sign up. The excitement is building. I've signed up to sell my stuff with buysellmakeoffer.com. You should too. Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire's liberty activism scene this fall? You're invited to Keenevention. Keenevention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, have fun at social events like the Hallow Keene costume dance party, and learn about making the move. Keenevention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit Keenevention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenevention this November 4th through November 6th. Tickets are available now for a special pre-order price of just $50 via credit card or Bitcoin. However, only 100 pre-order tickets are available, so reserve your tickets now at Keenevention.info. Visit Keenevention.info for more, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's Keenevention.info. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us right here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. The Skype username is LRN.FM. We're talking about privacy and security and Edward Snowden. You're welcome to comment on that. Also, you need to know about Arcade City. It's been a big week for Arcade City. They put out a pretty important press release at the beginning of this week looking to stir up some media coverage for this new upstart, this ride-sharing service that is created by drivers for drivers. There's a lot of upset Uber and Lyft drivers who are bailing out of these big corporations, and they're joining Arcade City. You can join as well. If you want to be a driver for Arcade City, go to arcade.freetalklive.com. But why would you want to drive for Arcade City? Well, because how about you get to keep everything you earn? Because that's a big change. Normally, the corporation you're working as a contractor for takes a nice chunk off the top for their overhead. Like Uber, it's now 75%. It used to be 80% that you kept. Now it's 75%. And some drivers are pretty upset about that. So they're joining Arcade City, where you actually get to decide how much you charge. You get to set your rates. You get to decide everything. There's very few limits when it comes to Arcade City. So go to arcade.freetalklive.com. It's more decentralized than Uber or Lyft. And once again, you can get started at arcade.freetalklive.com. Now, maybe you just want to be a rider for Arcade City. You want to try them out as a rider. Just go to arcaderide.freetalklive.com. As we continue here, let's go to the phones and to the fun. First up, we'll talk to Brian on the line via Skype. Hello, Brian, in New Hampshire.
We're talking about, this is Socrates from Nashua. Ian, I got to ask you something.
Yes, sir.
I've been living in New Hampshire since, I was born. But I've been a part of the Free State Project probably since 2005. And I do remember you specifically doing a bunch of free advertising, basically being the creation of this agency, if my memory serves me correct.
No, I did not create the Free State Project.
I know, I'm not in the literal sense. But Kent Snyder, who in 2007, when I was volunteering in Concord for the Ron Paul campaign, the only person he could name that was associated with the project was you.
Well, it certainly have been a big mouthpiece for the Free State Project for many years. Free Talk Live was its top recruiter. When you sign up for the Free State Project, there's an area where you can tell them for whom or what referred you to the Free State Project. And besides word of mouth, for a long time, Free Talk Live was the #1 recruiter. So we had a lot of people sign on because of listening to Free Talk Live. There's no doubt about it. In fact, some of the people who hate my guts were brought here by Free Talk Live. So they used to like me, and then they found something about me they didn't like. So
let me ask you this then. I need to. What's so befuddling to me, I guess, about this entire issue?
Just for listeners who don't know, you're referring to, just for our listeners, before you go on, for our listeners who don't know, you're referring to the fact that I was ejected from the Free State Project's 2 yearly events, the Liberty Forum and the Porcupine Freedom Festival, yesterday via a blog post made on the Free State Project's website. That's what you're referring to here with this controversy. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And if you go, looking back, I'm looking at the history of the presidents of the Free State Project, and I was curious. I always presumed in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, Ian's on the board of the Free State Project. I never even bothered to ask. It's just something that kind of was ingrained. I'm like, oh, Ian's clearly, was given a position.
No, I've never been on the board of directors.
And that really begs, I clearly see that. So it begs the question, what was your, did the relationship go downhill slowly or disconnect over time? Because I thought you, when at least in 2007, 2008, when you and the Ridley Report were really doing a lot of stuff together, or at least competing in the same manner of getting viewers and people to New Hampshire, I would say that you guys were very, very close to the Free State Project. And I'm curious if it was when the project kind of took a turn to the worse.
I would say it was probably 2013's 2013's Porcupine Freedom Festival. There were a couple people who were organizing the Porcupine Freedom Festival that tried to make life more difficult for me and a couple of the other long-term sponsors of the event. And I didn't understand where it was coming from, and so I thought it was just a personal problem that they had, and it may very well have been. But that was the first time that it became a frustrating thing to put that event together. Normally, the relationship between the Free State Project and Free Talk Live was like a gentleman's agreement, like, oh, we're having this party in the woods. Do you want to come broadcast? Yeah, I'd like to come broadcast. Here's what we'd like in return. We'd like to get a couple hotel rooms and, top billing as a sponsor of the event. Okay, great. Let's do that. What else do you need? Oh, we need a phone line. We need some power. Okay, here you go. Here's everything you need. And so there was never any kind of written agreement until this 1 year where they started to kind of nickel and dime us, and it really... The treatment sort of changed, the feeling of the treatment, the experience changed. And it was after that we got into an explicit written agreement of what was expected from both sides. And it was that agreement that was nullified this week by our agreement with the Free State Project. So we let them out. We told them in a press release earlier this week. We said, the Free State Project, we will not consider you obligated to the agreement that we have. So we're willing to let them out of the agreement early, based on we weren't going to wait for the agreement to end on its own. If they wanted to get out now, they could, and they decided they wanted to get out now. So they went their separate ways, and we're going ours. And that's okay.
It makes sense, and I think that's fine. I think that's good, because essentially, I thought if they did this, made this, if they wanted to make a stand, you honestly could have a project just that said, "Oh, the real Free State Project," and nobody would even know that everyone would have just kind of adjusted over, because the entire movement isn't about this organization.
The Liberty Movement in New Hampshire is much larger than the Free State Project, and it always has been, because there have always been people who don't want to join. So the Free State Project has always had a sort of a phantom amount of people out there that we don't know who they all are, that they've moved to New Hampshire or they're planning on moving to New Hampshire because they were inspired by the Free State Project, but they're the kind of libertarians who don't want to put their name on something, and so they just move anyway. They don't sign up for the Free State Project. They've just moved.
People like me.
Like you, TJ.
I actually, I'm not a signer of the Free State Project. I went to like 2 Liberty forums, but I didn't move because of the Free State Project. I moved because James was here.
But he's here because of the Free State Project. So you're one of those sort of phantom people that is out there that is also here because of the Free State Project tangentially, on the other hand.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just pointing that out.
Yeah. Anything else, Brian?
Yeah, I remember attending the 2007 Liberty Forum, and John Stossel was of attendance. And what sticks out to me is I believe that John Stossel has become a skeptic of the project because of what he called extremists. And I'm curious if this is the direction that they're going in, if you understand what I'm saying.
Well, I think the Free State Project, one of the problems is that people who are happy with their life, that are fairly normal, they're well settled, they have their wife and kid and a 40-hour-a-week job, they're not just going to say, you know what, for no reason at all, I'm just going to pick up and move to New Hampshire. The people who come here are, for the most part, they're dissatisfied from where they came from. That's why they're coming here, is because they were dissatisfied from where they were. And the fact that they're dissatisfied means that they typically don't fit the mold that society expects them to fit. So we do have a lot of people here who are, for lack of a better word, kind of nutso. But that's the wonderful thing about it.
And we love them.
Yes, we're all crazy in slightly different ways.
Thanks, Brian, for your call tonight. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And the people that, live their lives in a different way, I respect them. They should be able to live their life how they want. I won't mess with you if you don't want to mess with me, but unfortunately a lot of them want to mess with me, but I won't give it back to them.
Are you worried about how dangerous the world has become? In these days of terrorist attacks, natural disasters, or even a future collapse, you need to be medically prepared to keep your family safe. I'm Joe Alton, MD of store.doomandbloom.net, where you'll find an entire line of uniquely designed medical kits and supplies for when help is not on the way. For everything from individual first aid kits to the ultimate family medical bag, go to store.doomandbloom.net today. That's store.doomandbloom.net. You'll be glad you did.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free.
Why are you playing a slot machine sound for an online poker site?
Do you have a poker sound effect? Because we have a new advertiser, swcpoker.eu.
Brought to you by the same guys that did seals with clubs.
Now they're called swcpoker.eu. It's Bitcoin Poker 2.0. They have lots of new games, including Chinese poker. The Krill leaderboard is active now. It's Bitcoin Poker from the brand you trust, swcpoker.eu.
Get on over to swcpoker.eu and start playing now. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can join us. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Our Skype username is lrn.fm, and you can join us online anytime you want. Just get interactive at freetalklive.com. And there are a lot of great reasons that you should still move to New Hampshire, even if you're mad as hell about the Free State Project.
And you're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, you don't. That doesn't mean you should not move to New Hampshire. Some people are saying, well, there's so much infighting, I'm not going to go there. Well, if that's the reason you're not coming to New Hampshire, then you're going to be pretty much useless in any growing liberty movement, because anytime there's a group that gets beyond a certain point in growth, there will be infighting. I don't like it, and that's why I support just splitting and going off in your separate directions rather than fighting forever over about who's going to be in charge of some sort of group. Just split off and do something different. But we've seen that happen, and anybody who's been in the Libertarian Party knows about it. There's party infighting, even in these small political groups where you got maybe 15 to 30 people who are involved at a statewide level, for instance. So Cop Block has had infighting going on where the Cop Block organization
You're not
got
doing
so
it
large.
right.
Yeah, or whatever. Or I think so-and-so should be in charge, or whatever personality conflicts. That happens.
We're going to fight over Robert's Rules of Order.
Yes, that is the kind of petty crap, and it gets really
like, you're out of order, sir.
Yep, and it gets petty, and it gets personal, and I don't blame anyone for not wanting to be involved in that, but you might as well just cut out any kind of activism, because once you actually start to gain traction and your group starts to grow, get ready, because somebody's going to come in there who tries to sabotage your group. Somebody's going to come in who's going to try to
change the vision.
They're going to, whether they're doing it out of the intention of sabotage or just because they have a different vision, I don't know, but you're going to encounter all of this. You're going to encounter people coming in and doing stupid things that you don't want them to do.
That's why I think the Free State Project, it should have been Jason Sorens. He would be the one who could set all the rules. He could be the ultimate decider. If it was a private entity, he could have set all these rules. And I haven't thought, if you commit a federal crime and you're convicted, the only person you can hope for relief from is the President of the United States. One of his constitutional duties is to grant reprieves, clemency, and pardons for federal crimes. And so I thought, if the Free State Project kicks you out, maybe we could appeal to the president of the Free State Project, Jason Sorens. I mean,
he's the founder.
The founder. I mean, he could have the executive authority to actually reinstate you. And I thought maybe we should.
But I don't want to be reinstated. Why would I want to be part of an organization that doesn't want to have me?
Well,
that doesn't make any sense.
I know
somebody
it doesn't
on the
make
internet today said there needs to be mediation, and I said, why would I want to mediate? I have no gripe with the Free State Project. I'm not upset about it. The reason we're talking about it tonight is because it's the elephant in the room, and we had to address it. And people called in last night to, ask questions about it while I wasn't on the show. It was my night off on Thursday night. There doesn't need to be a mediation session because I got nothing I want to mediate. I'm fine. Everything's okay.
Now, Ian,
you guys go your way. I'm going to do my thing.
What am I doing wrong? Because I really want to get in some hot water with some organization. And so far, all the organizations that I know, nobody's condemned me yet. So what do I got to do? Can you take me step by step?
Well, just start doing public activism.
Okay.
Just start doing things that are noticeable, that we can record video of, that where you take a strong position on an issue that people are going to disagree with you about. So then you will find even if they agree with you on the issue, they might disagree with you on how you did your activism. So whether it's Robin Hooding or whatever, or something completely new, if you make a splash in activism, people are going to hate you for it. Because maybe they're jealous. Some of them are jealous because you're getting the attention and they're not. So that's one thing. Two, they could believe, honestly, that you're ruining their movement. There are certain people who try to be respectable when somebody who doesn't, somebody does something that's not respectable, like takes their tops off in downtown Central Square in Keene, New Hampshire.
Oh, no.
Then they say, oh, you're ruining the movement because those of us over here, us squares, trying to be respectable, well, we're tied to you. And so when you do something, because you're a free stater or whatever, even though you're not, because you're a liberty activist and we're liberty activists, that means we're all being lumped in together by all these people who don't like what you did, and so we need to separate ourselves, which is why they're saying in this Free State Project press release that we're separate. We're not the same as Ian Freeman and Free Talk
what
Live.
Idiot would think that? What idiot would be like, oh, I had no idea that Free Talk Live and the Free State Project are not the same thing. I had no idea. It'd blow me up. Really?
A lot of people think in groups. They look at somebody, and so that's why I understand what the Free State Project has done. I mean, they're trying to pander to the normals now that they're here and they don't feel like they need to do any recruiting anymore. They're trying to pander to the respectables. And, good for them. That's what they think is important.
So now I want to take a brown glass bottle, put some water in it, and I want to go to the Keene City Council meeting and just drink every time.
You'll probably get away with it because we actually did the drinking game, what you were describing. I was arrested for back in 2010 when it was done the first time.
And Sam Dodson just took a guilty plea deal for him.
But and I got off on those charges, as he would have had he not skipped court.
Hold on. You were vindicated. You were rightfully had the charges dropped because it was a false and scurrilous accusation. You did not get. You didn't be. I have to.
As Sam should have been, but unfortunately he skipped his court date, and so the pressure came on heavier on him, and he ended up taking a plea, and that's another story. But the two weeks later, there was another city council meeting where people went in with brown bottles that had water in them, and they proceeded to do the drinking game again. This one actually attracted some Manchester activists who came over and
they're
did this.
coming in droves. It's like the invasion of the bottle drinkers.
And the second time, they ignored it. So they learned their lesson the second time. And then I think it was 2 years ago, during the Keene City Council inauguration event, Garrett, Ian, and I also went and redid this. Were you there for this one, James?
I was there.
James went to it as well. And a few of us went and we redid the drinking game 4 years later during their inauguration, and they didn't mess with us there either.
Can we do this?
So
We need to...
you're kind of late to the party on that one, TJ, but I wouldn't say you shouldn't
I...
do it. You should. It's a fun thing to do.
Well, I just want to say,
the risk is low, though.
Well, I know, and I just said, we should do this just to keep them on their toes every now and again. We need to make sure and do our old antics. Just
bring them back.
Just bring them back, like an
fun.
oldie but goodie performance art.
Let's go to Nathan. He's on the line via Skype. Nathan in Texas, I believe. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really appreciate you addressing that topic and also that call from Socrates, because you had suggested just now that maybe they want to go in a more family-friendly direction, but it sounded more to me like they just wanted you out as opposed to wanting to do anything constructive or anything like that.
Well, it could be one move in a series of moves, but whatever they're going to be doing, whoever these people are that have moved towards me getting out, because they had a petition, and it only got like 0.5% of the entirety of the Free State Project to sign it. So by no means was it a mandate.
Right.
It's just that these are people who have moved themselves into positions of influence within the Free State Project and have managed to accomplish that.
Yeah, it did seem weird that a few dozen people would sign a petition. Oh no, we've got to do something. I mean, it's like politicians, don't really, they hate bad media. They hate
Well, it was more than the petition. It was the people who were in roles of influence.
Right.
So people who had helped to organize the Liberty Forum, Porcupine Freedom Festival, like key people within the organization, were against me, and so I'm sure they were told, well, we're not going to help you anymore if you don't do this. And so, or whatever. Who knows what sort of backroom dealings were going on. But regardless, I'm not upset about it. I'm ready to move on and promote the Shire Society, which is a great alternative to the Free State Project, a decentralized alternative that also encourages people who love liberty and are willing to do something to move to New Hampshire. And by the way, to join the Shire Society, you don't need to live outside of New Hampshire. You can actually be in New Hampshire. You can be a New Hampshire native and join the Shire Society. We went and we did outreach at one of the county fairs a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago at this point. And the first year, we're doing Bitcoin outreach at the county fair in the most recent years. But the first year, we did Shire Society declarations, basically pitching the Shire Society to everybody that walked by. We got over 200 signers of the Shire Society declaration in a 5-day span. So I consider that to be very good. I mean, we're talking about a very principled pro-liberty declaration. This is like the most pro-liberty statement you could possibly make. It's a personal declaration of secession, and anyone can read and sign it by going to shiresociety.com. But you were calling about something else, Nathan, so stand by. We'll bring you back for that. Nathan in Texas, we'll continue with him. Your thoughts and calls welcome. Venezuela on the attack against Bitcoin. If we can fit it all in, we'll do that. 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can join us here. This is Free Talk Live. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more.
It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Something shocking just happened in a Coast Guard unit in San Diego. The old guys in the unit have turned the tables and are now destroying the young bucks in head-to-head fitness tests. How is this even possible? Turns out the old guys in this unit have been part of a special test group for a doctor-formulated fountain of youth drink called Patriot Power Greens. Patriot Power Greens has been so effective for many of the older soldiers that it's made their achy joints, stiff muscles, and lack of energy a thing of the past. Previously, this drink was only available to elite military units. But for a limited time, the creator of Patriot Power Greens has set aside a small number of free sample packs specifically for our conservative friends. But you must act fast. Due to the high demand from members of the Coast Guard, our supply is extremely limited right now. To claim your free samples of Patriot Power Greens, go to greens75.com. That's greens75.com. greens75.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Cryptocurrency and peer-to-peer tech developments happen fast. Stay in the loop with the Daily Decrypt, a new video channel and podcast that will keep you on top of the latest innovations in crypto finance, security, networking, transportation, and gadgetry like drones and 3D printers. Subscribe to the Daily Decrypt on YouTube and SoundCloud and be an early adopter of the future. The Daily Decrypt.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
That's right. It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us right here. Even in these remaining moments, we have enough time for you at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. If you're thinking about moving to New Hampshire, whether it's for the Free State Project or whether it's for the Shire Society or just because you love freedom and you don't want to move with any group, you should consider moving to Keene. There are 150-plus reasons to move to Keene over at move.freekeene.com. See, because we've had in place for quite a while the necessary components to compete with the Free State Project, because we saw this coming a long time ago. The more recent, as of yesterday, me being kicked out basically of the Free State Project events, which led to me resigning from the Free State Project, has just been the culmination of a long period of certain people within the Free State Project hating me and many of the other activists here in the Keene area. James, you've been accused of ruining the movement. I've been accused of ruining the movement. TJ, you haven't been here long enough to be accused of that. Yeah. But as you were asking before, if you were to just do enough activism,
I'm feeling left out. I mean, I want to ruin the movement.
I
want to ruin the movement too.
You've got plenty of time. Don't worry.
Okay.
And so, we've had this working for a while, where we've got the Shire Society in place. It's been in place since 2010. It encourages people to move to New Hampshire, whether or not they're interested in the Free State Project, just if they love liberty. There's also you've heard of the 101 reasons to move to New Hampshire that the Free State Project features on their website, which is a great list, no doubt about it. That's why I helped make it into a movie as a co-producer. But there's also 150 plus reasons to move to Keene, which is where we're doing this show from. It's sort of the place for the outcasts at this point, if you will. Chris Cantwell's living in Keene. I'm living in Keene.
Yep.
All the outside, a lot of the not all of them, but a lot of the outside the system activists, the civilly disobedient. We've had a lot of that activism happen here. It's what's put Keene on the map, for better or for worse. Some
and it's
people
caused
think
the government bureaucrats to shudder in their boots, going, why are all these crazy people coming to our nice small town of 30,000 people in the middle of nowhere?
During Keenevention, they actually shut down the parking enforcement department for the entire weekend. Friday and Saturday, they do not do parking enforcement during Keenevention.
The third year, I think they've done that.
Third year in a row. Yeah. So go to move.freekeene.com. You can see that list there. I actually just happened to update it in early 2016, so it's freshly updated. Move.freekeene.com. And by the way, Keene's not right for everybody. You might not be able to find work here. It's kind of a smaller place. So I'm not saying you should or have to move to Keene, but you should consider it as an option. So toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Back to Nathan in Texas via Skype. Go ahead, Nathan.
That kind of reminds me of, I think, one of the Star Trek shows. At one point, I think over half the cast were outcasts or, like exiled from their people, never to return. So maybe
you mean the character or the cast, the actor?
No, the character, like half the characters were, I'm an outcast from Klingon society. I'm an outcast from this society. I don't know.
You're talking to a couple of guys who actually spend like 8 hours a day watching Star Trek.
Well, it's more like 6.
Yeah,
but...
Worf was outcast from the...
I personally haven't seen an episode of Star Trek in quite a long time.
By the way, yes, James and we watch about 6 hours of Star Trek, The Next Generation, every single day.
That could be a fun game for TJ and James afterward. Try to name all the characters on DS9 that were outcast from society at one point. But I wanted to ask TJ about something. So you brought up this story before that you were interested in. I don't know if this was before or after you quit the NSA, but you said that you were interested in I guess, games of chance. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, I was on a gay cruise and I saw the blackjack table, and all of a sudden it just, like many things in life, it just kind of hits you like a lightning bolt. You're like, oh, I like math. I could do this. And so I went home after the cruise and I got every book on blackjack, Stanford Wong's blackjack theory and I started practicing, and then I quit my job and then became a professional blackjack player, and that's how I made my fortune over the next 8 years.
And now, as far as I understand it, isn't cards and games of chance, they're heavily restricted, right? Like in some states, it's not allowed at all, I think.
Well, it's correct. Gambling is one of those things. I say, what is gambling? And gambling's hard to define because, when I spend $4,000 on a hot dog push cart, there's a chance that I'm not going to sell enough hot dogs on the street to make my initial investment back. So that's a form of gambling.
That's true.
I just say gambling is something that we kind of throw as dice and cards and things that are associated with being seedy, but really all of business is gambling. And so the government says anything depending on an outcome that's not based on skill, and that's actually a big question. Like, is poker a gambling? Because it's a game.
That's
a lot of the gambling games are based on skill and chance, right?
Yeah.
Where you can have an advantage if you have skill, but ultimately there's chance involved.
Or what about chess? What if I play a $20 chess tournament or a $20 chess match, $20 if I win? Is that gambling? Because in theory, that's all.
Yes, because there's something you could lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually know what the laws in New Hampshire are about that. I know shooting porn is legal, but I don't know about gambling.
I actually do, because the whole joke, I would say, is like, I have a sincere patriotic desire to not go to prison, so I would bet money on it. So my joke is, I'll say, I'd bet money on it, except it's illegal to bet money in a gambling here in New Hampshire. So anything dealing with like
well, actually, we used to do gambling in the open at Free Keene Fest. So before there was Keenevention, there was this thing that we did twice a year called Free Keene Fest, where we would gather in the spring and the fall in one of the parks in downtown Keene. And people would just set up tents. We wouldn't ask any permission for it. We'd just go and set up tents, and some people would sell food without a permit. And then this other guy, a New Hampshire native, would show up with an actual poker table and start dealing poker for money out in the open, and anybody could just sit down and play the game, and it was really fun. So we've even done gambling civil disobedience up here. It's just no one was ever arrested for it.
Well, actually, I would be totally down for that, because I am a professional gambler, and I always thought, well, look, if I want to play cards with you for money to see who's the better poker player, That's my decision. As long as I'm not cheating, like marking the cards or...
If you wanted to do that and actually do it as more of like a civil disobedience thing rather than what we were doing with Free Keenfest, it was mentioned that it would be happening, so it wasn't like we didn't promote that. We did mention that there would be illegal gambling there, and they never did anything about it. But if you did just focus one event on it, like... We'll be setting up a poker table on Railroad Square
and not
on
just
Saturday at 10 a.m. Come on out and then see what they did.
And not just like quarters and dimes, but if you're betting like 100,
about big money.
Big money, yeah.
But it's as illegal either way.
It is, but if you really want the government to crack down, they want to seize that big money. So if they see big stacks of hundreds coming out, they're going to like roll out the truncheons and the Bearcat.
Get out of the Bearcat, yeah.
They're going to get the Bearcat out because, this is the thing, is why does the government have any right to regulate gambling? They, in theory, just because you're playing poker with your buds in your college dorm room, they can bust it down and arrest you for that. I don't want anybody to be under any any belief that, it's just a tiny violation of the law, they won't bother me. Well, they won't bother you if they don't know about it, and they won't bother you as long as you're not criticizing them. The moment you start to criticize them, then they're going to bust down your front door.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Right. Well, so I wanted to ask TJ is, did you ever do like the online kind of stuff? Or, you don't have to answer.
I did not, because of the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act of 2006 signed by President Bush. That makes it illegal for any U.S. citizen to transfer money from a U.S. financial institution.
Wait a minute. Isn't it only dollars?
No.
Because Bitcoin gambling's not illegal online, is it?
I would say, based on U.S. federal law, it would be.
Really? Because I thought that what you're talking about made it illegal for banks and credit card companies to do business with online with gambling.
No, but hold on. They raided the Seals with Clubs guys, I thought.
No.
Didn't they raid those guys?
I don't remember that.
If anybody wants to know the actual answer, I can tell you. So it's illegal for the banks. Now, as a matter of practice, they don't go after individual players. They go after the banks because that's where all the money is located.
That's where they get the pressure on.
That's where they get the money. If they can shut down an online casino and get $5-10 million in seized assets, they're not going to go after an individual player for $5,000-10,000.
Right, so the players keep hopping around from site to site.
And the government will wait till the site gets really big, and then they'll shut it down and seize all their assets. But if you want to be technical under the letter of the law, Title 31, which includes the Unlawful Internet and Gambling Enforcement Act, it makes it illegal for any person to cause to be transferred either directly or circuitously from a U.S. banking institution for the purposes of online gambling. So a lot of people think they'll be cute, and they'll be like, well, I'm going to open a Canadian checking account. So I'll wire my money from U.S. Bank here in America up to BMO in Ontario, and from BMO I'll wire it to Antigua. Well, that's still a violation of the law because you're a U.S. citizen. You are causing money to be
suspicious activity or whatever.
Well, no, you can't do circuitously that which you cannot do directly. So a good example of, I'm not having sex with you. I'm not paying for sex with you. I'm paying for the paperclip, and I'm having sex with you for free. Well, that doesn't
Nathan,
work in a court of law.
Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate hearing from you here tonight. I think James has found some information.
Yeah, so it was last February. I was trying to pull it up here on my phone, but the Seals with Clubs guy last February was raided by the police, and they actually shut the website down.
Wow.
And I think he moved the servers to another country, and then he relaunched it. Huh. And I think he might have even left as well.
I wouldn't blame him.
So, anyway, gosh darn it, the
fun's over for
TJ the Spy's Legal Hour and Legal Analysis section.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you gamble online. The feds may come for you if you're hosting that site.
You got to be careful. So come gamble in the open here in Keene and do some civil disobedience. I think that would be fun. It would be fun to bring that civil disobedience back because it's been a while since someone's done that. Maybe that could be your thing, TJ.
Yeah, have the green hat. All right.
We'll see you tomorrow online in the meantime at freetalklive.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon. through saveatpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. Following yesterday's big rise in gold and silver, on Friday gold is down $7 at $1,253 per ounce. Silver is down 9 cents at $15.91 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $413 US. I like to take advantage of these little Friday pullbacks as traders try to finish the week taking a profit. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, March 18th, 2016. Silver is trading at $16.02 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,252 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $420. Antiwar.com reports Saudi warplanes launched a series of airstrikes against a crowded marketplace in Hajjah province on Tuesday, and UN officials finally established a final death toll for the incident, saying 119 civilians were killed. Saudi officials, who on Tuesday denied having attacked the market at all, on Thursday confirmed the incident, saying they attacked a quant market where a militia gathering was happening, backing it up with claims that as many as 33 of the slain were Shiites and thus presumptive allies of the Houthi rebellion. The incident is the latest in a number of huge incidents of Saudi airstrikes killing large numbers of civilians as the Saudi war against Yemen approaches its 1-year anniversary. Estimates have put the death toll in the war at over 6,200, with the majority being civilians and those overwhelmingly killed in Saudi strikes. The UN issued a report earlier this year harshly critical of the Saudis for their systematic targeting of civilians across Yemen, saying it could amount to a crime against humanity. They also faulted the Saudi naval blockade of Yemen as an attempt to deliberately starve the population. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports the Federal Trade Commission issued warning letters to app developers using SilverPush, software that monitors a device's microphone to better understand consumer buying habits. The FTC said letters were issued to 12 Google Play app developers that appear to include SilverPush, warning they could be in violation of federal privacy disclosure requirements. SilverPush is embedded software in some apps that monitor consumers' television use through the use of audio beacons emitted by televisions. The sound is inaudible but can be detected by the software. Jessica Rich, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, said these apps are capable of listening in the background and collecting information about consumers without notifying them. Companies should tell people what information is collected, how it is collected, and who it is shared with. The FTC said SilverPush can be running even if the customers do not know it. SilverPush says that no television shows in the United States use the software. In 2115 New England, there are no borders, no states, and no regulations, yet never has a more peaceful and prosperous place existed. But Mr. Drake's security company has seen better days. Faced with the prospect of waning power, Mr. Drake intends to replace the anarchy of New England with a government. But at what cost? Will anybody care? And can anyone stop him? Anarchy in New England by Joe Jarvis is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Reuters reports a lawsuit filed against Uber claiming that the ride-sharing company was to blame for the jailing of an Uber driver who is charged with murder is a hoax, according to the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office said officials became suspicious of the suit, filed in the name of murder suspect Jason Dalton, who is currently jailed in Kalamazoo, Michigan, after seeing the online filing. The online filing includes a facsimile of the envelope used to send the suit, which had a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania postmark. Pali Matias, an undersheriff, said in an interview, "Our mail does not go to Philadelphia." That raised a lot of suspicion right there. The envelope in court documents was not a jail envelope, the postage did not match what the county jail uses, and the handwritten court filing did not match handwriting the office had on file of Dalton. Deputies spoke with Dalton on Thursday in jail. Matias said that he did not send it and did not authorize it and did not know about it, adding that Dalton's attorneys also had no knowledge of the lawsuit, stating all of that translates into a hoax. U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan, where the lawsuit was filed, was informed by the Sheriff's Office that it found the suit to be a hoax. If the lawsuit is proven to be fraudulent, it may take some time to remove the handwritten filing from the court's online records system. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A Rasmussen poll reveals that nearly all American voters share a deep fear of botching another election, with most voters admitting that selecting candidates for public office is something they're historically just not particularly good at.
I really hope I don't completely fuck things up as usual, but you never know. Things do happen.
According to the poll, 3/4 of voters said Election Day panic would cause them to base their vote entirely on hearsay, while 93% acknowledged that they only recognized names of local candidates from signs along state highways. In Cedar Rapids, Iowa, stunned friends and acquaintances expressed shock and disbelief when a body found in the woods turned out not to be Justin. Local residents found the naked corpse draped over a tree stump Saturday, and as